So, Dr. Tipler, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time to have a conversation with me. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
I am a professor of mathematical physics at Tulane University. I received my undergraduate degree in physics at MIT. Then I went on to get my PhD at the University of Maryland. My PhD thesis was on the general subject of global general relativity. General relativity is Einstein's theory of gravity. Global means that you look at the universe on the largest possible scales. Rather than an isolated region, you look at all of time and all of space and look at properties which follow from that way of looking at general relativity. And then I went and did my postdoctoral work first at the University of California, Berkeley. I was there in the mathematics department. I worked with a great mathematician and expert in relativity, Abraham Taub, who was a professor there, and later with Rainer Sachs. Rainer Sachs was, you probably never heard of any of these guys. I won't go into more detail about their work. I then went to Oxford University for one summer. I studied with Dennis Sciama. I was his postdoc. And Dennis Sciama, you haven't heard of either, but he is famous for the number of students and postdocs he's had. His most famous student you've almost certainly heard of, Stephen Hawking. You've heard of him. Okay, and he has a number of other famous postdocs. He said his greatest achievement was getting interested in the theory of general relativity. Roger Penrose, a great physicist who's won every prize you can imagine, justifiably so, most recently the Nobel Prize in Physics. And then after that, I went to the University of Texas to be the postdoc of John Wheeler. You may or may not have heard of him. You've heard of his most famous contribution. He was the man who named the black hole. You have, I'm sure, heard of black holes.
Yes.
Wheeler has two most famous students, are his Richard Feynman, who got the Nobel Prize in Physics, and also Kip Thorne, another Nobel Prize winner in physics. And then I came to the University of Tulane here in New Orleans, and ever since I've been working on global general relativity, physics, and so forth, following up global general relativity, one of which I concluded that the universe has to end at an omega point, which is interesting. It's we say it's a single point in the Penrose C-boundary completion of space and time. And also, I argue that life makes it all the way into the very end of time, which is the omega point. That, in essence, is the short description of the omega point theory.
And why do you think it leads to an omega point in the future?
Okay, well, basically because I believe in the laws of physics. And the laws of physics basically dictate that the universe has to end in an omega point. Now, let me give you the argument for that. First of all, Stephen Hawking, great physicist, proved that if black holes exist, and they do, we've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of black holes, and there's general agreement, and I totally agree with the consensus here, we've seen black holes. He showed that were the universe to if black holes were to evaporate to completion, he showed they evaporated. Were they to evaporate to completion, they would violate a fundamental physical law called unitarity. Now, I've gone through Hawking's calculation, and I'm convinced that it's right. And I also talked to Nobel laureate Kip Thorne. I mentioned Kip Thorne earlier. Kip has gone through Hawking's calculation. He also is convinced that Hawking got it right, that black holes evaporating to completion would violate unitarity. If you also read the book by Nobel laureate Roger Penrose, let me get that book out here. I think you can see his book here, Roger Penrose, Cycles of Time. He says he's gone through Hawking's calculation. He's also convinced that it would violate unitarity. Okay, now, unitarity, however, is a fundamental physical law. We relativists who have gone through Hawking's calculation are convinced that it's right. But other physicists think it's wrong. Why? Because they are convinced that unitarity cannot be violated. Now, I've gone through their calculations myself, and I think the particle physicists are also right, namely that unitarity cannot be violated. You see, we've got a contradiction here. We relativists, Hawking, have shown if black holes were to evaporate to completion, they would violate unitarity, but the evidence is overwhelming that unitarity cannot be violated. Let me give you an example. The particle physicist Leonard Susskind at Stanford University proved that if a unitarity violating process were to occur, well, first of all, unitarity is guaranteed by the conservation of energy. So, if unitarity is violated, energy cannot be conserved. But Susskind went further. He proved that energy conservation violation by unitarity violation would amplify, so that if you flipped on a light switch, so much energy would be created out of nothing that the earth would be blown apart. I think we can agree that you can flip a light switch without blowing the earth apart. So, unitarity cannot be violated. But if the universe were to expand forever, these black holes, which we've seen, would violate unitarity because they would evaporate to completion. We all agree on that too. Conclusion, there is only one way to avoid this, and that means the universe has to end in a singularity before any of these black holes have time to evaporate. In that case, you have complete consistency in the laws of physics, which is unitarity and Hawking's calculation about black hole evaporation. That's the only way, the universe ending in a final singularity, to have these laws of physics be mutually consistent. Okay, now let's watch what happens as you're going into the final singularity. All right, now the great physicist Bekenstein proved in the early universe, if you have what are called particle horizons, then the entropy as you're going into the singularity has to go to zero. Now, particle horizons in the early universe, that's equivalent to event horizons in the final singularity. So his calculation applied to the final singularity. If there were event horizons, then the entropy has to go to zero as you're going into the final singularity. Now, there's another fundamental law of physics out there called the second law of thermodynamics, which says the entropy of the universe can never decrease. But if there were event horizons as you're approaching the final singularity, then the entropy would decrease. The only way to avoid contradiction with this other law of physics, the second law of thermodynamics, is to have no event horizons. Now, if there are no event horizons, then in the Penrose C-boundary construction, that means the final singularity must be a single point in the Penrose C-boundary completion. Conclusion, the laws of physics dictate that the final singularity must exist and furthermore must be a single point, which is the essential claim of the omega point theory. Now, another claim is that life actually makes it into the final singularity. Let's now look at how event horizons can be eliminated in the final singularity.
Well, before we get into that, I want a few questions first. So,
yes.
First thing, if we say that black holes can't evaporate to completion because the universe would explode, essentially, yours doesn't seem.
Unitarity would be violated.
Right. And you said you gave the example of flipping a light switch would cause the earth to explode. So what you presented doesn't seem to make that logically impossible. What it says is that we prevent that from occurring because we just don't allow enough time in the universe for it to occur. But I mean, we can do that in lots of different ways.
There's only one way. with relativity, and that is the final singularity.
Well, that's
Give,
definitely false. There's multiple ways. Like if we just froze time entirely, that would also do it. That would stop any black holes from doing anything. But we could also change other fundamental laws of physics and stop it from occurring. There's multiple ways to stop it.
This, if you change the laws of physics, my entire argument depends on the statement that the laws of physics are correct. If you throw out the laws of physics, I can't prove anything. I'll grant that.
The only thing I'm refuting is that it's the only way. It is not the only way. There's many ways to do
given
that.
the law.
Yes.
If you invent new laws of physics, I can't. Then I'm saying the only way, given the laws of physics, is the final singularity. If you invent new laws of physics, yes, you can certainly avoid it.
Sure. But the part here is that simply ending time at some point doesn't make it logically impossible for black holes to evaporate. They can still logically do it. They just haven't done it. So if all you're doing is preventing them to have done it by some point in time, then essentially we're in a universe where it hasn't happened anyway. And so our universe's physics would be the same regardless of whether or not they can or cannot in the future. So like if your argument is that the reason black holes will never evaporate to completion is because there just isn't enough time and the universe will end by that time. Well, since we haven't gotten to that time yet anyway, none of the black holes have evaporated to completion yet, as far as we know, then we wouldn't see any universes or worlds exploding from light switches yet anyway.
I'm sorry, what?
So you argued that the reason that we think universes cannot evaporate to completion is because if that was the case...
No. My argument is this. If the universe were to expand forever, accelerate forever, whatever, for infinite time, then Hawking's calculation proves that they would then evaporate to completion.
Yep.
Calculation also shows they would violate unitarity. That's what his calculation shows. And furthermore, Hawking also showed that if the universe were to expand forever for infinite time, then they would evaporate to completion.
Sure. And so the solution to this is just stop the universe, end the universe at some point, and this prevents the problem, right?
That's the only way, given the laws of physics. Now, if you invent new laws of physics, I can't say that's the only way.
So yes. If we haven't gotten to the point, no black holes have evaporated to completion, then the argument that flipping a light switch would blow up the Earth doesn't apply because we haven't gotten to the point that any black holes have done this yet. So the fact that it could happen, if it's logically possible to have occurred, well, it's logically possible to have occurred in your model too. And so if the argument that flipping a light switch would cause the world to explode after any black holes evaporated to completion,
then they would. What I'm saying is any unitarity, this is Susskind's proof, any unitarity violating process that couples to electromagnetism would amplify so that the Earth would be blown apart. Now, that's his claim. Now, if you look through the laws of physics, there are huge numbers of other ways, if unitarity were to violate it, at any level, that you would expect these processes to occur in microphysics. So what his proof was designed to do is to show unitarity cannot be violated, period. And I agree with his proof. I think it's right. And there are other consequences. As I said, you cannot have that if unitarity is, you can prove that if energy is conserved, unitarity has to be good. That's it follows from the conservation of energy. So I believe the laws of conservation of energy. Now, Susskind goes further. He shows that if energy is violated, energy conservation is violated by unitarity violation, this gives rise to an amplification process. That the energy conservation won't just be unnoticeable, it would be very noticeable. So the point is that if you have black holes, and we do, we've seen them, then were the universe to expand forever, Hawking showed under those circumstances that they would necessarily evaporate to completion. Therefore,
so the argument I'm making is that your solution seems completely ad hoc. It's like if
entirely follows
one sec. So if we say that if black holes eventually get to the point where they evaporate to completion that we'll get to this catastrophic effect where unitary is violated. Oh no, terrible. But we haven't gotten there yet. And so
laws of physics all times.
What?
Laws of physics always apply. They don't just suddenly.
That wasn't part of the question. So the question here is we have not gotten there yet. Has not happened, right?
Our observations. The laws of physics apply at all times. They apply.
I'm not talking about the laws of physics here. I'm saying, has any black hole evaporated yet? Completion. No.
It's irrelevant. But again, here's the fundamental principle.
Let me finish the argument. So the argument here is that
apply at all times, both in the past.
I don't care.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to make an argument. I don't care about the laws of physics here. It's irrelevant to the argument. So the argument is
physics of the laws of physics, and I start from there.
That's great. That has nothing to do with my argument. So again, I'm saying your conclusion that the universe will end seems ad hoc because there's nothing in physics that indicates it's going to collapse into nothingness. It seems like you've just ad hoc made a solution to a problem you can't understand. So like if I said, if anybody counted to 1 million, the universe would explode. Therefore, we have to kill everyone before they count to 1 million. Well, that's not a logical consequence. Like obviously
you cannot understand the laws of physics or logic.
What?
I'm saying the laws of physics apply at all times. I've just said that we relativists have done the calculations, and the only way to stop this evaporation is have the universe end before they can evaporate. That's the only way to stop the evaporation. Hawking showed, were the universe to expand forever, the black holes would evaporate to completion, period. He showed that. You have an evidence that his calculation was wrong?
No, because I never said his calculation was wrong. What I said is your argument is wrong. I can prove your argument is completely ad hoc, completely irrelevant. So saying that,
all I'm doing is saying Hawking got it right. You're saying Hawking got it wrong. Where did he get it?
I'm not saying Hawking got it wrong. I'm saying you got it wrong. So here's the argument. Like if I say that if 1 million water droplets fall,
it's nonsense what you're saying. I'm not going. That's why I was reluctant to get on this show, because I figured you were incapable of understanding elementary logic or elementary physics. You're just demonstrating that. Concentrating entirely on the laws of physics, Hawking showed that the universe, if it expanded forever, black holes would definitely evaporate to completion and violate unitarity. Therefore, from Hawking's calculation, it follows necessarily that the universe cannot expand forever.
No, it doesn't. So you don't understand logic here. You literally don't understand basic logics. Modus ponens is literally modus ponens. Sorry, you gotta let me finish. You gotta let me finish. You gotta let me finish. Like I can prove you wrong.
Is ended because you're not capable of a rational thought.
You being ignorant is not my problem. Basic modus ponens. Simply saying that because there's a bad consequence, therefore we have to prevent, the universe will prevent the consequence, doesn't mean that that prevention is necessarily going to occur. It's an appeal to consequence fallacy. So for example, if you say like we have to prevent 100 someone counting to 1,000, therefore we must kill everyone who counts to 1,000, it's not logically necessary that we're going to kill everyone who counts to 1,000. It's very possible that we can get to 1,000 just fine in both possible worlds. So your argument is literally an appeal to consequence fallacy, where you say that because there is some consequence that we must prevent, any possible logical outcome that prevents that is going to necessarily occur. That is false. Appeal to consequence fallacy, basic logic. This guy's dumb as shit. All right. Yeah, he rage quit Clubhouse debates. He did indeed rage quit. Like, so I didn't even get into any of the interesting objections to his argument. So one of them is that the probability that his neutrino collapse thing to explain the resurrection is complete bullshit. But even if we granted it was possible, the probability that any of the other religions happened would be greater or more likely to have possible to occur given the laws of physics than his explanation of the resurrection. So all of the other religions would be actually more likely given his model. Like, wow. He threw a hot ring at the screen. Biscuit. This isn't Biscuit. Brenda, I think one of the titles didn't change. Biscuit was my last conversation. This guy was Dr. Frank Tipler, physicist. So not Biscuit. Unless you're talking about the last debate. I don't think that's. I think people have rage quitted faster than that. Ah, gotcha. Is there any substance to his theory? Not really. He's essentially just using ad hoc reasoning to compile the laws of physics in such a way that he doesn't like the consequences of what would happen if a singularity or a black hole were to evaporate to completion. Therefore, he says, in order to prevent this, the universe must be destroyed. So, like, if I said, I think Hitler is bad. Hitler is bad. Therefore, in order to prevent Hitler, the universe will just destroy itself before any Hitler gets created. Like, that's a really bad argument. That's a dumb argument, and that's essentially his argument. His argument is that here is some consequence of the laws of physics, which are wrong, because like Hawking has already recanted his theory of a singularity in a black hole and his conclusion that Hawking radiation will deplete a black hole and violates the conservation of energy or information, already both debunked. So his premise is already wrong there. But even if we grant it, the only reason he thinks the universe is going to collapse is because, well, it would prevent the bad thing. That's his only argument. You can't prove the resurrection. His argument was that the resurrection is possible given the laws of physics. I'm sure. I think he knows Hawking has updated his views. He's just still using the old work. There was definitely Brenda. There was one rage quit was faster, and it was on Zach. Zach invited me to talk to a flat earther, and the flat earther, as soon as he saw me and recognized me, he's like, "I don't want to talk to that guy." I didn't post it because it's literally like 5 seconds. It's like a 5-second debate. So there has been one rage quit that was faster. I just didn't post it. It'd be funny. I should probably post it. I should have it saved somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. Let's see. Zach. See, it should be on here somewhere. Not that one. Anyway, let's go to the Discord after show, I guess. Why not? After show Discord. What's up? How's it going? Had one of the shortest debates ever. Guy rage quitted in like 10 minutes. Yep. It was Dr. Frank Tipler, the physicist, on his omega point theory. He thinks it's God. Yes, he's a real physicist. Oh, forgot. What? Go ahead.
Theory, is that what you said?
Omega point theory. So
Omega.
his theory is that God exists and God is a singularity, and the singularity exists before all time, during all time, and the universe is going to collapse into a singularity and after all time. So that's the Trinity.
Okay, that's fucking stupid.
So I can divide something that I've imagined into three things, therefore Trinity, therefore God. Is that the argument?
Yep. And he
the
says
number
that. So
three-
Hawking's original paper that shows that black holes have a singularity and they will evaporate due to Hawking radiation leads to a violation of unitarity, which will cause the universe to explode. Therefore, to prevent this, the only way that it's possible to prevent this is if the universe collapses into another singularity, and that's his justification. That here is a bad consequence in physics. And in order to prevent this, well, the entire universe has to collapse and end to prevent this from happening. So we can't let black holes collapse, and so the whole universe is going to end, and that's what's going to stop it.
I convinced myself of a thing I don't like.
So even if those things are all true, like how does he connect that to God? Like I don't. Seems like a non
Trinity.
sequitur.
Obviously,
Yeah,
Trinity.
Okay, throughout history, the number 3 pops up everywhere. It's like a magical number for us humans for some dumb reason.
Yeah, mysticism, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
I never
yes.
got to the point where I got to ask him. Like I was trying to make he left after I was trying to make the very first argument, and he just left. It's like, okay.
It was this almost you're not deferring to my expertise, sort of a rage quit.
Probably.
Didn't we have another physicist do that in the chats? In the VC?
You mean LSF? Not to call people out on YouTube or anything.
Did he define God? What he means by God?
No, he didn't get that far again. So I made one argument and he didn't understand it, and then I tried to explain it, he kept interrupting, and then he just rage quitted.
Okay, I have to see that later.
He said, "You don't understand physics or logic." Rage quit.
Dude, if he actually said rage quit on the way out the door, that would be hilarious. I would have given him points for that. Rage! Just click.
Cat, what do you want, Cat?
Huh?
I'm talking to my cat.
I think that the debates going quicker is a sign that you're getting better, Tom. That's going to be my theory.
I wish it worked that way. But then, like most flat earthers and Darth Dawkins would then probably get the score of the best debater because his go faster than anybody. Banned.
Oh, true.
Banned.
Just mute. Yeah. No, this is what they do, Tom. This is what they do.
Yep.
One thing that I find curious is, like, after all these years and so many debates that Darth Dawkins did, it must be on purpose what he does. He must to see, like, I cannot imagine that he doesn't understand how wrong he is. Like I think he knows, and he just pretends.
I think you have too much faith in humanity.
I was going to say
Maybe.
the same thing in a more polite way. Yes, I agree.
Do you really think he's that dumb?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I think he is emotionally compelled to want to be right, and he gets so much self-satisfaction out of his sense of being right. He can't ever let that go or challenge that. He doesn't even want to.
I see.
Narcissism. Oh, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
It's true, I think. Cuddly cat. Do you want to have a purring cat in your stream, TJump?
Sure. I'm thinking about jumping over to politics and PNR, see if I can do something to fill the time.
Oh, I'm sure you can drum up more people to scream at you over there.
Let's see. I'll give it a shot. Hello. How's it going?
The one you should actually be against is like the person manipulating tons of people by miseducating them with like their personal interpretation of that religion.
Isn't that what all religions do?
Yeah, we're like kind of talking about if it's okay to just hate against religion as it is, or if you should kind of like try to see the bigger picture. So,
what do you mean,
so to speak?
What do you mean by bigger picture?
That the religion itself isn't evil, and actually has like a valid point and like existential.
But we have kind of established before that that's not the case, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if I have to like quote.
I mean,
biblical
even to this day, I'm not sure if like this kind of life we're living in the Western world, like with all the freedom and like no religion and shit, it's kind of you lose purpose as a human being, and you see all those flat earthers and anti-vaxxers and people who are just, they have no religion, but they still wait. I have to do Scribble.io. They have like no purpose. They have no aim. They have no purpose. It's kind of, I have to.
I think they're even overwhelmingly religious.
Religion
wait, I'm not quite following there. So like flat earthers are mostly religious people, but I agree with your first point that like religion has value. It gives a lot of people purpose and value. That's absolutely sure. And so I don't think that religion itself is evil any more than any ideology is evil. It's just a thing that people believe, and that's perfectly fine. So I would agree that it's wrong to say just religion in and of itself is evil. I think that it's perfectly valuable to use religion to make yourself happy if that's the kind of ideology that you like. But I would disagree. Like both flat earthers are religious, and there are people who do have purpose without religion just fine.
Okay, I guess like in Germany, you sound American. I mean, Christianity still has a much more important role over there, but in Germany, religion isn't really much of a thing anymore. Nobody like seriously like propagates for like Christianity. It's more like, yeah, I don't know, we don't know if it exists, and we're just kind of, and so this whole anti-vaxxer, flat earther, conspiracy theory movement is kind of, I know that they just criticize stuff for the sake of criticizing it without actually having their own. I don't know, man.
Spice
well, I think
I'm from Germany too.
Not because of a lack of religion.
I mean, yes. I personally feel like it's like just democracy and science as we have it in our Western world doesn't fill in this whole ideology gap that's like left because religion isn't there anymore. So people are just kind of lost. I don't know, but just it's just my opinion. I can't like prove anything of that.
So I think religion still plays a big role, but differently than in America. It's more subtle here. I think it still informs a lot of decision in people.
Thank you for the super chat, Peter. Appreciate it.
Isn't as radical as in America in general.
Well. So the fact that people in Germany don't take religion seriously I agree. I think that many of the Western nations don't, but some people in the world do. If your argument is that religion does more harm than good, I mean, I could maybe today, I still don't think that'd be the case. In some places, it might be the case where the only religious people are zealots who believe ridiculous things, but most of the world aren't like that. And so I think overall, the religion still provides more benefit to people in aggregate than the cost that it caused by the radicals. So I think that religion does have a benefit to many people, and it's fine as an ideology as long as you don't become a radical, which is most people aren't. And so I wouldn't say that criticizing religion in and of itself is the problem. There's many religions like Buddhism that don't say they're anything about a god. It's just about feel good stuff, and that's even better. So I don't think there's anything wrong with religion as a concept. But I do agree
Right.
that secularism doesn't provide a sufficient replacement for the religious ideology and how it functions in society. And that's where I'm working on, based on my objective morality, and trying to build an atheist church to actually do that, to have that moral groundwork in addition to atheism.
I actually don't agree with the notion that religion doesn't do more harm. Well, generally, but I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about Abrahamic religions, obviously.
Could you say that again?
mean,
you don't agree
I
that
don't
religion doesn't do not more harm?
Yeah, that it does not do more
But I
harm.
feel like we're
think
at the
it
point
does.
again where you're gonna say it does harm, and I say yeah, it just does harm because it's a very powerful tool to like mobilize the masses, right? Oh
Well, yeah. So why do you think it does more harm than good?
Wait, you asking me? Because I kind of
Yep.
left for a second because I misclicked.
Yeah. Why do you think it does more harm than good?
Yeah, I think it does because it restricts people. So I, for instance, value people's freedom of expression, people's freedom of expressing their sexuality and identity and all this kind of jazz. And I think most religions, well, Abrahamic religions definitely do restrict people in that manner.
Sure, but does it give people a sense of, like, it gives millions, billions of people a sense of community, gives them places where they can go to find friendships, relationships, it gives them a sense of comfort. Like,
And I mean, look at
Well, yeah, but
Christianity, for example. It
the thing
developed
is that
it.
anything can replace that.
well, no,
Everything can replace that.
well, no. So people are different. Not everyone's the same. So it can replace it for some people, not for others. And so the fact that some people get relief from those kinds of things, and doesn't mean that you should quick-handedly say that this could be replaced with a lot of other things for anybody. That's not true. Many people are not going to be able to replace the sense of value they get from religion. And so I don't think it's fair to say that because some people could replace it, therefore religion does more harm than good, because it's still doing more good for more people than it does harm.
What
not true.
What do you think is the sense of value that is unique, that religion provides uniquely to people?
It's not about it being unique. It's about it's specific to certain people. Different people have different interests. Like,
Well, it has to be unique then if it's irreplaceable for them, right?
No. Like, high function autism is people have special interests. They have one thing that they care about more than anything in the world, and it's very weird things: trains, ants, light. They get obsessed with this one thing. So there's nothing unique about those things. The sense of value they get is the same as everybody else for everything else. They just can't change it because of the way their brain works. They just get it from this one thing. So the value that they get is the same as all the human beings, but they only get it from one thing. That's the part that is important here, because many people can only get value from religion because of how their brains work, how their culture works.
But you can usually point to a specific attribute that those things have that that person is interested in. So, like, if you're talking about trains, I guess you're. Right?
I disagree, because you're making it like things like magical thinking and like a lack of education into a trait that people should have. You know, people find religion useful usually because of those two reasons: magical thinking and the lack of education. And those are traits. Yeah, I mean,
no, like there's many there's a lot of very intelligent religious people who get value from it. Newton was one of them.
Intelligence is horsepower, but I'm talking about the framework to think properly. That's different from intelligence, right? There are a lot of intelligent people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but if you download a right framework in terms of how to think properly, what are logical fallacies, for example, what is magical thinking? The need for religion disappears in those people.
No, it's emotional. It has nothing to do with logic. Logic doesn't change that at all. You can know logically that something is wrong and still desire it. That's what addiction is. So no, the fact that you know it's fallacious doesn't mean you're going to lose the emotional connection.
That is true. You are comparing correctly religion to like a harmful opiate addiction. I think you're right.
Well,
I
no,
agree with
because
you.
it applies again to anything. The fact that I value video games, it's possible I could go through a bunch of neuroplastic transformations to value other things. I just don't right now because all of my associations in my brain are to video games. I get a dopamine response from video games that I literally don't get from picking up bricks. And so I like video games. So should you take away video games so I can replace it with bricks? No. It doesn't
Well,
matter
we
what the
did have
logic is.
But we did have a war on drugs. I mean, drugs are so harmful. I mean,
Which didn't
if we can
work.
do that for drugs, we should have. Well, we still fought the fight, right? I mean, religion's going to be a very difficult thing to defeat, but it's been with us for the time being and harming us for millennia. So it's a worthwhile battle, I think.
No,
to get
again,
rid of it.
it's exactly the same as drugs. Like if people enjoy it, they should have the freedom to do it on their own. It's only a problem if they use it to harm others. That's the thing we should stop. They should be perfectly fine with doing it on their own, just like people should be perfectly fine with doing marijuana on their own. It should not be.
Yeah, but there are externalities. You can't deny that both drugs and religion have a very negative externalities that affect all of us. It hurts our psychic common good of all
No,
humans.
again, it does more good for people than harm in the aggregate. But the fact that some people do harm doesn't mean we should ban all people who do religion. Like that's a hasty generalization fallacy. The fact that some people do bad things, like some people who play video games shoot people. Should we ban video games? No, that's stupid.
But some people are able to use religion as a hack to convince people to do really bad things, such as vote for Donald Trump, or vote for Robert Mugabe, or vote for Jacob Zuma,
Yeah, but all ideologies work
that
that
leads
way.
to thousands of millions of deaths every year.
Wait
just
for
the
it.
COVID crisis.
All ideologies work
I
that
will
way.
guarantee you that games will be political one day.
They already are in America.
Okay, maybe,
Sort of. I mean, games like Command and Conquer, like tickle the inner fascists of all of us.
No. So the point here is that even if some religious people do bad things, that doesn't mean we should ban all religion. That's a hasty generalization. That's saying we punish everyone for the crimes of the few. That is bad. Don't do that.
TJump, can I add something
agree.
specifically about that? If the potential though is so extreme, would it not justify banning religion if it could lead to like so many deaths?
Well,
Like,
yeah.
just-
I mean, nuclear bombs, right? For example, are banned as well or trying to be banned for that reason. So, like a religion and a bad religious actor can kill millions of people.
But that's not the current reality.
Yeah,
it is a current reality.
If it was like if 90% of people who are religious were extremists, then yes, it would be okay to ban that religion. If 10% or less are, then no, it's not okay. So, and right now it's low. It's a very low percent who are extremists.
Well, let's say 70% of religious people voted for Donald Trump, and that led to 1 million COVID deaths, right? That's a clear. The knee bone's connected to the foot bone. You know what I mean? You heard that song?
No, most Democrats are also religious. That's why we can't get an atheist president. Most people in America are religious. No, 70% of religious people did not vote for Donald Trump.
What I would do if I would create a new country is I would let have them their religion, but I wouldn't allow any churches or like assembly of religion. They can have it, they can think about it, they can read their books. I don't fucking care. But you can't make a religious organization.
Well, that seems counterproductive because the organizations are most of where the good comes from. The society, the connection, the people who are working and helping with one another. That's the biggest benefit of religion. So that's the thing that religious do best is the church.
Maybe.
Is that true? Is that an assertion? Because I think Joel Osteen hasn't helped anybody.
He's helped tons of people. Like all the people who go to him get lots of value from the interactions with him. Community they get together, the connections they make, they do lots of things together that they really enjoy and really value. That's why they go there. The fact that he gets a disproportionate amount.
Crack does the same thing.
No.
Crack gives a lot of value to the people who are smoking crack and brings them together in a crack house. What's the difference?
No, it doesn't. There's absolutely no comparison there between a community of people who voluntarily get together and don't harm anyone ever, and crack, which literally destroys the body and gets addiction. So no, those are not analogous things at all.
But Joel Osteen has taken money from a lot of people and refused to actually help anyone with that money and only aggrandized himself.
They voluntarily give it to him. They voluntarily give their money to him, and that's okay if that's what their ideology is. Fine. He's not stealing it from anybody.
But it's mentally hacking these people to do so.
No,
on
they're voluntarily choosing to do things because they care about it. That's not mentally hacking people. That's having something you're passionate about. Literally, I'm a YouTuber. People send me money because they like what I do. Joel Osteen and me are the same. He just makes a lot more money than I do.
I thought people said new money because you're good looking.
I wish.
Yeah. Well, Joel
Philip,
Osteen.
Philip,
Yes.
do you think patriotism should be
like-
banned worldwide, or like it
TJump,
should be frowned upon? Patriotism.
No, patriotism
I
is
don't-
perfectly fine. Also, like if
No, I'm
people want
talking to Philip.
No,
Oh.
TJ, like, do people send you more money after you dye your hair pink?
I don't know.
Philip, can you answer?
I don't believe patriotism is worthwhile. We should all be citizens of the world, and we should vote with our dollars and vote with our feet.
Okay,
leave
that's a
bad
good
cities,
point. That's a good
countries.
point you're making, because otherwise I would have said that your argument doesn't make sense, because if like all religions should be banned because there are some radicals, then patriotism should be banned too because there's like some radicals, right?
Football should be
I
banned
don't
because of
agree.
radicals.
I don't agree. I
Let
don't
me
agree
offer
with
you
patriotism
an
at all. I
alternative
think
perspective on
Yeah, I personally have the same
patriotism-
opinion on that. So
the guy that said
I don't see the
patriotism
point
should
behind
be,
patriotism, really.
banned. Patriotism is a great way to control the masses without law. You can literally convince people to act according to your moral objectives without punishing them.
That's how all ideologies work. That's the whole point of
Well,
ideology.
so
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna force teenagers, to like take up arms and fight in the middle of desert, if not for patriotism, right?
Well, also you get to go to school, right? And you get health care. So you get sent over there to kill people so you can survive back in your home country. That's why you guys do it.
Yeah, because they're paid.
not
They get-
patriotism.
They get
No,
paid.
but you could say anything is patriotism. I could say that only eating bananas is patriotism for some weird reason, and I can get you to only eat bananas. It's like you could make anything to be labeled patriotism if you want.
It is right and good to eat my banana. That's what you're going to say to these people.
If you could convince people that was patriotic, you could convince them to do it. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, I'm saying.
Yeah, but religion's pretty harmful. I don't agree with it. I think it needs to be like regulated, and I think they should be taxed heavily. If you're going to tax cannabis sales, why don't you tax the church?
churches, yes, we should definitely tax churches.
Yeah, I don't think I can go up on stage and say a bunch of bullshit, but if people pay me, I still got to pay my taxes. How come they don't?
Why haven't you made a church yet?
Yeah, because you
Well,
haven't
because
signed up for 501c3 status.
Because
That's
they're
why.
not good looking enough. That's why. I don't have a single son that died from this. Everyone else.
I'm trying to turn my house into a worship center, so I don't have to pay taxes.
So you will become the next Jonestown?
Every mega church's preacher, their house is a meeting center. It's categorized as some kind of religious meeting center.
Legally in the U.S. under 501c3 churches, the church can pay for the housing of the pastor. So it's a part. They're not classified as churches. The church literally pays for their housing.
Scam.
That's some bullshit right there.
And
that's a loophole right there. Like.
And they don't file
money
taxes.
to support the church.
Churches don't have to file
money's
anything.
going to buy for the priests for a Ferrari or a private helicopter.
Like TJump needs to start your own church. You're a YouTuber already. You're only one step away.
Yes,
you're one step away.
Like, there's Atheist Church is one of my videos. That is already something I'm working on.
Are you following Comp's idea for this?
Sounds very oxymoronic.
I can't hear you. You cut out Comp.
Augustus Comp developed his idea for a secular church, and so in the places of saints, you would have like the rich bankers that finance your church. Pretty cool.
I've never heard of that.
Just apparently or Jewish.
So
if you actually have a church, can I be appointed as a chief molester, and I get to molest all the old people who ask me to?
No. Well, you can already do that. That's already legal.
Have you heard of the School of Life, the Alain de Botton thing that he's doing in the UK?
Yes, the Sunday Assembly.
Is that similar to what you're kind of?
This is Augustus Comp.
Sort of.
Augustus Comp right there.
So my idea for an atheist church is that we're going to do, like, we're going to buy an apartment building and make it the rent as affordable as possible for people in our church. So the goal here is not like just a church. We're going to try to actually replace capitalist businesses with something better, like making affordable apartments, and then use the income from the apartments to fund a church, and then in the churches do things like TED Talks and debates and YouTube channels and that kind of stuff, call-in shows.
Hey, if you release ownership of the buildings through an NFT, then you would have completed the bullshit trifecta.
What? NFTs.
But if you're
don't
gonna
work.
have like a talk talk groups, right? Are you just is it gonna be like a philosophy talk session, or like if it's an like atheist like religion, right? What are
Well,
you
it's
gonna
going to
talk
be
about?
open for anybody who wants to host one of the things. But yeah, we're going to do TED Talks and debates and interfaith conversations with Christians. We're going to partner with Christian churches and have them come in and talk with them and do interesting things, dances or whatever.
This is like
Plays.
it sounds
Invite
like
your wife. The
uh,
Christians will come.
it sounds like an Epicurean thing.
Because atheist church, I'm like agnostic church, I would get actually, but atheist like means you deny the existence of God, right? But as a
No.
church,
Most people use atheist to just simply mean there's no evidence of a God, but that part doesn't
yeah,
matter.
that's agnostic. That's agnostic.
No,
Atheist.
that's atheist. That's atheism.
Yeah, I'm an atheist. Yeah, I'm an
It
atheist. Like you.
depends on which definition you use.
Right, and most atheists use that
Okay,
definition that it's a
yes.
lack of evidence, but that doesn't
I
matter.
find an agnostic is just a guy who's just simply fed up with the discussion. Fuck it, I'm agnostic.
It's a
Or
Steve
like
McRae.
some
Steve McRae
religious
deal.
people.
I consider myself agnostic because it's a realistic choice because you can't really disprove God doesn't exist, nor can you prove that he does exist. It's kind of like it's up in the air, so it's a big I don't know.
Well, you don't need to prove it. So, like most academic atheists are atheists that they hard reject the existence of God because there's no evidence and there's good evidence against it. So you don't need to prove there's no God. Saying there is.
I like the idea there's something out there that created us, but at the same time, I'm not sure. I like to think it's like a big empty void.
What you're doing is that you're maturing.
Some
You know,
religious
you're learning
people. Some religious people would call it lacktheism.
Yes.
Those bitches. Those
If there is something out there, I would like to ask that something how it was created. That's going to be a mind boggle.
Would it be defensible to say you're an omnist and your exact worldview can only be approximated just like you would approximate the location of an electron in the covalent shell?
No.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't even know what that means.
Basically, I'm an omnist and I believe in all the worldviews. But if you were trying to hammer me down like which specific one, I wouldn't let you pinpoint exactly which one I believe. So it kind of be just like a mind fuck because
that would just
wait. Is this your worldview or?
I'm working on this as this is like a big clubhouse LARP I'm trying to work on.
All right.
Well, there's that guy who's on the other channel who always talks about the Silmarillion as a religion. He spins a pretty good yarn, don't you think?
Wait, what's his name?
This guy you're talking about.
There's a guy who always goes to heretics in the morning, and he promotes the Silmarillion. He's not pronounced.
Is it like Mr. Batman?
No, he's not Mr. Batman. He's not Mr. Batman. He's a young guy.
He goes by Rich Evans.
Oh yeah, that's right, Rich Evans. That's him. That guy's pretty funny. I like that.
TJump, like, what is your opinion on Buddhism? And
what was the question?
I said, what is your opinion on Buddhism?
Buddhism is one of the best religions, and I like the Dalai Lama's position that if science and Buddhism contradict, science wins and science is right. It's a good methodology to take. It's not quite as good as Jainism. Jainism is slightly better, but it's one of the least bad religions.
Isn't Jainism like super pacifism?
Yes.
Precautions.
Yes.
You're not even hurt bacteria.
But you can't
That's like all the
eat
good
meat,
things
and
of a religion.
the problem with Jainism is like they have really worse restrictions in food. You can't eat onions, you can't eat garlic, you can't eat many of the spices. It's like they try to numb your palate, or
I don't really
so
care
they
about
don't
that
have,
because they're very non-violent, so they don't want to kill anything ever, no insects.
Yeah.
So that's the most moral thing you can do. It's completely unrealistic, but it's the most moral.
Like what in that case?
Like I understand,
you're gonna die if you don't cook
it's not
plants,
for
right?
insect, but teach them wouldn't our existence it relies on violence against insects?
Yes,
we're trying
we need
to
to do bad things to
shape our
survive, but
environment.
there's still bad things. So Jainism is still more moral than us because they would not do the bad things.
But why would it be bad? I mean, we're all just part of the same ecosystem, right?
Because it's immoral. It's immoral to kill things.
Sort of.
If we tried to kill you, I don't think it's moral.
Well, yeah, but what if you're killing something that is also killing things, right? So maybe
Still
you have a
immoral.
net.
Yeah,
Still
it
immoral.
has greater utility for us, right?
Just nuke the planet. You gotta be done with it. No more
You
harm.
don't care for utility,
Uh,
TJump?
What? Killing anyone for any reason is always immoral because there is a logically possible way to solve the problem without killing them.
So are you a cuck who thinks
I
Calvin
don't.
House is
What
not
if
a
it's
hero?
there? You know,
In,
if,
in
no, I
some
really wish, you know, if I
cases,
had one
yes,
wish,
you
you know,
can find
I would.
non-violent methods, but in certain cases, violence is the only answer.
No. So like, it doesn't matter if we are only capable of doing something that would require violence. There's a logically possible. If you were an all-powerful being, there would be a way to do it that doesn't entail violence. So violence is never logically necessary.
Yeah, you could just die.
That's
always
no,
a
that would
choice.
also be violence. So like, there's
True.
an option
was
where
not-
no one
Well,
dies.
Wait,
Well,
what?
in
Yeah,
that
that would
case,
also be
there's no.
violence.
So dying from I'm confused. I want to make sure I understand this correctly. So when the guy said you just died, I would also and you said it would also be violence. I just want to make sure I hear this right.
If you don't want
So
to die and someone
does that
kills
also
you, that's
mean dying
violence.
from natural causes is also violence?
Yes. Also immoral.
So it's
Yes.
just what?
That makes
Yes.
sense.
So that's really an easy thing to
That's
understand.
trippy,
Like
man.
a
That's
best
trippy.
world with the least immoral world is one where nobody dies. That's the best world. Oh my God! Surprise.
But isn't that
It's
the
pretty
world
bad.
where
So
everyone
it's
is
like
too many
just
people,
don't
nothing
age.
happens?
Just don't.
Yes, congratulations. You
Existence
understand
wouldn't make
basic
sense in
morality.
such a-
Don't die.
I can't wrap my
Well, you know,
mind
that's-
around that.
It's really bad because traffic's gonna.
Ooh.
You know, that'd be really bad
Oh.
because traffic would be really bad, and you could be stuck in traffic for 3 hours each person times 100,000 people. That could be like 3 lives. So you in fact kill 3 people by having
No,
too many people.
Once we can solve death, we're also going to solve traffic too, because we're going to have multiple planets. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're just gonna conquer the whole imperial mankind, but hopefully that'll be repressing.
I'd rather just.
Yeah, well, you know, kill all the other Xenos. We gotta kill all the people who aren't people. Fuck
Could you imagine how many
don't belong
Burj
to us.
Khalifa? Can you imagine how many Burj Khalifas we would have if we solved like the problem of dying?
TJump, would that
Yeah,
view
Khalifa.
about dying would that view about dying of natural causes could that lead to like anti-natalist kind of views? Because presumably aging is also immoral, right? Because
if you don't want to age,
if aging is immoral, then being born kind of like bringing someone about would be an immoral act, wouldn't it?
If you could actually bring someone about,
Because he
but
eventually
you don't,
will
biology
die.
does. So it's not you who's creating the person, biology is creating the person. So you aren't immoral for having the child. If biology forces someone to suffer, biology would be immoral.
But even if you did like artificial, like if you just you said something very
Even mean
deliberately.
like wait, yeah. What does it even mean for biology to be like immoral? Like, does morality apply to
yes
concept like biology?
Yes.
I get it. Guys, I get it. So I get it. So we should not be killing abortion doctors. We should be killing fertility doctors. Got it.
Kill no one ever.
Okay. I'm mistaken.
Bad.
Sorry.
So like
Does that mean reality is immoral? No, does that mean reality is immoral because reality makes us?
Our nature is immoral.
What's the
Yes,
way?
nature
So
is
the only way to
immoral.
prevent like committing the sin of dying is to like just become a cyborg. Then I feel like it's the only realistic.
Well, apart from this, what do you make of the anti-natalist kind of entailments there?
Which ones?
Just that idea that like if dying is immoral, and if age or just of natural causes, and so aging of natural causes is immoral, and so intentionally engaging in acts that are going to create life that would entail someone's will be suffering imposed upon by the process of age. If aging is immoral, then creating a life where that person ages would also be immoral.
So immorality is anything that you don't want. Stop. So immorality is any involuntary imposition of will. So if a person doesn't want to age and they're forced to age, yes, that would be immoral. You didn't do that. Nature did. So the problem isn't you having the kids. The problem is nature causing the aging. So our goal is to stop nature from causing that problem, which is solve aging. So the fact that nature does bad things means nature is immoral and we need to solve nature. It doesn't mean you're immoral because you brought someone into nature.
Haven't you participated in like creating a will that like there was no will until you decided to have a baby?
Yes, and if there was no will, it can't will to not come into existence, and so it's not immoral to create a will.
So it's like upon the creation of that life, nature is the immoral actor by making it degrade, from the get-go. But you're not immoral for bringing
Right.
new wills into
So
the
right. So
world.
immorality is any involuntary imposition on will. So if there's no will and you create a will, that's not an involuntary imposition because there was no will. And then if things happen to the will that it doesn't want, those are the involuntary impositions. So creating a will isn't immoral. It's what happens afterwards that can be immoral.
So actually, suicide is not immoral.
No, suicide is if you want to do it, it's moral. It's moral to help
Yeah.
someone. So assisted suicide is moral, yes.
So it's moral to push a guy off a bridge because he wants to jump.
If he is in a right state of mind, yes. If he is not in any way psychologically damaged and he genuinely wants to be pushed off a hill, then yes.
This is twisted, man.
It's basic logic. Google assisted suicide. It's actually a thing. And jumping off of a
And
hill
no, but
is actually
in that
probably one of the more
example
fun
I
ways.
brought, it's like that's why I thought it's like all the in that extreme case, like
Yeah, but what if he says I want you to kill him, but then in that last moment as you push him, he says, "Oh no," and then you push him anyway. You fucking fucked up and you killed him.
Then he's probably not mentally healthy and you shouldn't have listened to him in the first place.
Ah, that's right. See, there's a slippery slope, my friend.
No, there's no slippery slope there. If someone's not mentally healthy and
Talking
can't
about the
consent,
slope that the guy fell off of. I'm talking about
What?
the slope the guy fell off of. Okay, that's what I said.
it's not slippery. Okay, then it's not a slope.
When in my scenario was, I just didn't disclose it at the beginning of the conversation. Sorry.
I like this conversation.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about epistemology. All you guys talk about epistemology, oncology. I was like, what the fuck does cancer have to do with this? I don't understand your words.
TJump,
So imagine, like, I have an example. Imagine if like Hitler wouldn't have killed himself, and like the US would have captured him, and they wouldn't have killed him. They would have put him in like some institution that would have helped him, but they would have forced him to go in there and to, like, change his mind, like through, I don't know.
Yes, prison is
becoming
also
mentally
immoral.
Would that have been immoral?
They
That would
forced
have been
to,
immoral.
like,
Yes.
I believe that's like that's a fate's worse than death. Honestly, it's what he deserves. Honestly,
I
like
don't
he
know.
has to think all back. He has to model all his failures and his actions.
Wait. What institution is he put into? The head of the CIA?
No, the
Yeah, the-
Outlast one.
Okay, I thought
No,
they would
that was
have
a-
taken him and like all the other German people put them.
He was
in the head
making a
of,
joke. He was
certain
making a
institutions.
CIA joke.
Yeah, it was.
Somebody
Yeah,
else
you
had a
got me,
question?
TJump.
Somebody else said was going to ask me a
TJump,
question.
I was speaking with Godless Girl yesterday. And she said she was a moral non-cognitivist. This doesn't make sense to me though, because if let's say if you were put on an island and you were with a group of other people, how would you sustain yourself without injecting morality?
What? So a moral non-cognitivist says that the concept of objective morality doesn't make any sense. Like morality, the sentences don't cohere to anything. You can still say there's some subjective value system that you want. It just wouldn't be objective morality.
No, but there wouldn't if you were to boil
Isn't it,
down,
isn't it
aren't there
further than
some,
that though?
objective moral?
Sorry, isn't moral non-cognitivism the idea that moral beliefs are not like truth apt, and so that it's kind of like saying like boo murder or like
Yes,
yay,
which is so
charity.
boo murder is coherent. We can understand what boo murder means, but the truth value is the incoherence. They don't have a truth value. It's incoherent to think they have a truth value, but you can still understand that people like or have values. That part, non-cognitives aren't saying that they can't understand that people have values and they label that with morality. They perfectly understand that fine. It's the fact that do they have an objective truth value? What would it mean for them to have an objective truth value? That part is the part that's uncognizable.
But I don't think there is an objective truth value.
Well, so you can say it doesn't have an objective truth value. That's fine, but that's slightly separate than saying I can't even understand what it would mean to have an objective truth value. So there's two different claims there. One is like the fact that it just doesn't, or one is it's incoherent. Non-cognitivism says it's just incoherent.
I'm a little sad because my English isn't advanced enough. I couldn't follow you on the, but it's okay. I'm gonna cry.
Don't
later.
worry, I'm a native English speaker. I still couldn't follow
Which part?
what he's
Which
talking
part
about.
couldn't you follow?
All of it, because
Nah,
we used words that were a lot of syllables I don't know.
So like,
You know what? I took political science in university. I didn't take philosophy, so all these words are Greek to me.
Yeah, couldn't I say it is morally objective? It is objectively morally good to consume calories.
you could say that, but I would not think it's correct.
But
Depends on what kind of calories.
What?
Like what would be the because you otherwise you die out of the you're
So something isn't moral just because you would die if you don't do it. There's lots of things you could do that if you didn't do, you die. That doesn't mean it's moral.
And if all those calories were from carbs, you'd get fat. Fuck.
Is it moral to like kill plants?
Plants have no consciousness as far as I'm aware, so it is not immoral to kill plants because it is not an involuntary
like-
imposition on will.
Like, I'm probably this is probably a false memory, but I remember a guy telling me there was like a movie about a guy who made this machine that could like cure plants.
Here?
There was a scientific studies done with the lie detector tests
And,
on
like-
plants.
And like the movie, just the guy went insane because he could hear like when the grass being cut, it's like screaming in pain as the blade
Whoa.
cuts through it. I don't know if this is true. It's
No, it's not true.
prob-
Plants don't scream.
probably so.
I mean,
It was just from a
how would
movie,
the plants
I'm trying to
scream?
recall. It was just based on like it probably didn't need anything, but it was like, what if plants could feel? Like, what would that?
Yeah, what if
Scientists
air? What if
use-
rocks could
Scientists
feel?
discover vocal cords on grass.
Yeah,
New breakthrough.
Like, are you there, TJump?
Yep, I'm here. What's up?
Do you think addiction is immoral? Like, people using
That's a good point.
we-
actually.
people-
like self-destructive behavior.
If they want
Yeah.
to be addicted, then no. If they don't want to be addicted, then yes.
But so you believe in like a free
People
will
are
and stuff. Like you
weak,
can like
like,
actively choose as a person what you want, what you don't want,
Compatibilism.
what you do, what you don't do.
Compatibilists.
Most people, yeah,
Compatibilism.
they don't have a mental, capability to actually avoid being addicted to something because there's rampant marketing, campaigns going on. They get addicted to maybe bad food or
So like
mindless
addiction is
media.
only bad if you don't want to be addicted. Like I'm addicted to video games and I don't care. I'm addicted to chess. I don't care. It would be immoral if I wanted to stop that and couldn't, then it would be immoral. But just being addicted isn't the problem.
Oh.
Actually, I wanted to make a point to like the discussion we had before about like the value of religion, right? If
Okay.
you like had the power right now to like just remove religion from humanity, right? You would rip such a hole in the ideology of so many people. It would actually create like much more chaos than the parts of those religions currently like are responsible for, right?
Yes, and I would
And
lose my
on the
job,
other
which
side-
is far more important.
And on the other side, I think that like people
One of the new
people are kind of lost when they just don't have this like not everyone wants to be a philosopher or like a physician and think about the crazy questions of the universe and life and stuff, right? So if you don't want to think about that, but still there is no simple answer that anyone can give to you, that's kind of bothering. No, that's actually kind of
Yes,
You can't-
humans are given comfort by thinking they know things, and just having the unknowns is uncomfortable for people.
and I feel like that's a right you should have. So that's why
Sure.
another point where I think that religion shouldn't just like be like you shouldn't say religion is bad in general, right?
I agree.
All religion sucks.
Well, like, and then regarding that question, I think like I don't think religion, even in that circumstance, you snap your hands, religion's gone, and but people always find a new void to fill. It's like there's going to be, it could be ideology, it could be their favorite milkshake in order to give them a sense of purpose. That's what.
Thank you, Kane. Really appreciate it. Means a lot to me.
People are obsessed with their nationalistic, jingoistic culture. Right?
It's like people want to have purpose. It's like if that's no longer an option, it's just going to.
But you have to be careful with that, right? You shouldn't like if people get too patriotic, you have a problem, right? If like people are gonna radicalize.
That
Or am
happens
I
in
wrong?
every ideology. It's just an inherent part of human nature. They're always going to radicalize for any ideology.
If you're like always trying to walk like this thin path of like, okay, I'm not too patriotic. I believe in science. I believe in like facts, like empirically proven facts. I don't know. You still kind of always have this void. This I don't know, right? There's
No.
just so much you cannot answer.
No. There are many people who believe in only naturalism but don't have a void there. No.
Yeah, maybe it's just me.
because the
Sitting in
void
lockdown
is
for 2 years.
the void is a specific neurological feature that you have, which can be replaced by any kind of sense of dopamine. So that thing that fills the void is dopamine, and if you have other things that generate the same kind of dopamine, then that fills the void. So it doesn't anything that can fill that void if it generates the correct amount of dopamine.
Yeah, okay. So my argument only makes sense if everyone is lonely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lonely, but I'm happy, so I'm quite content with my life.
TJump,
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friends.
atheist, how do you account for the laws of logic?
The laws of logic are languages made up by humans to describe the nature of reality.
And how did you come to that conclusion?
By making up logic. It's a language I made up to describe the things I see.
So you're saying you made logic?
Yes, me personally. No one else had anything to say. I was the only mind involved.
And how did you come to that conclusion?
Magical pixies told me.
So you made this language up personally, and you know that in virtue of.
Cogito. I think therefore I am. I exist, and then I see
Hey.
things, and I make labels for those things, and that's logic.
Hey, I got a question for you. Let's say you observe someone being attacked. Let's say it was a young lady
Yes.
being raped,
Sure.
and you were observing them, but you decided not to do anything. Is that immoral?
No, that would be amoral.
What is amoral? Lack of moral?
Not moral and not immoral. So it's like picking up a rock. You not doing anything isn't immoral. Inaction isn't immoral.
So why is it that sometimes some people, after observing that and not doing anything about it, they feel guilty, they feel like they've done something wrong, they feel like they could have done something?
Because biology makes your brain feel things for lots of reasons. Like you can feel guilt if you're gay in Christianity because that's what your ideology has made you feel. So because of social constraints, you feel things independent of whether or not they're objectively moral.
So it's amoral just to watch someone getting attacked.
Yes, like you're not morally obligated to stop.
Guilty, after they masturbate, right?
Seriously.
I got another.
What is your opinion on omnism?
Omnism, like the one that all religions are true.
Yeah.
I think that's dumb because many of them are contradictory.
And why do you believe contradictory statements not to be reality?
Because they literally can't describe reality. That's the whole point.
How do you know
But
that?
one of them can at some point, right? Like if you were to use like a selective omnism, like if I were to select some omnism that's more accurate, some religion that's more accurate than another.
Well, yes, some religions are more accurate than others, but not all religions can be true because many of them are self-contradictory. Like some religions say there is no God, no conscious mind, and some say there is a conscious mind that is the foundation of everything. So like if one says there is no conscious mind that is the foundation of everything, like a field, like the Dharma field, and then another says it's Yahweh, those two things are contradictory. They can't both be true. Either there is a conscious mind that is the ground of all reality or there is not.
Yes, but I would throw out one of those. Being an omnist,
Right.
I would choose which one I would feel more aligned with.
Okay, so omnism is that all religions are true.
Yes, but there's an ability to select like what you don't have to take like wholesale all the worldviews. You can actually just pick and choose like some parts out of each one that you are in line with.
Okay, that would be fine, I guess.
All right, thanks.
So are you an omnist now?
No.
No, I'm an omnist. I felt more like this is the real truth behind it. So yeah.
I think
Hey,
they're
I
all
got
wrong.
another question for you.
I'm
Are you an atheist?
Yes, I'm an atheist.
Do you believe being an atheist is the moral position?
No, the positions aren't moral or immoral or amoral.
Do you believe that Buddhism is the most moral religion?
No, Jainism is probably the most moral religion.
Okay, no, that's fair. All right. Because I was gonna make it a thing where atheism is kind of like religion, but you're probably gonna say it's not. It's a lack of belief in a god, so it's not a religion, right?
Sure, I want to make it a religion. I want to make the atheist religion. That's the thing I want to do. It doesn't exist yet.
If you're an
Oh.
atheist, where do you derive your moral systems from?
Nature, moral naturalism.
Past knowledge, past philosophies,
What? I don't know what
like
that
reading
means.
Aristotle.
No, moral naturalism. Stanford.
I mean, on top of that, with the natural.
I don't know what that means. So Google moral naturalism.
I'm kind of I'll Google it later.
Okay.
I'm on my
do
phone
it.
right now.
So Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, moral naturalism. It explains a natural ground of objective morality. It doesn't have anything to do with Aristotle.
Could you? Yeah, I'm sorry. I just implied what moral naturalism was. I didn't know what it was.
Also
But
called ethical naturalism.
Ethics and morals are synonymous in philosophy. Those two words are interchangeable in all contexts.
Could you? So did you self
what? He cut out, and I can't hear him anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Testing.
Yeah.
I was asking, is moral naturalism, does it come with a set of doctrines like religion, or is it something that you have to? Is it a set of rules and logic that you use to derive morality for yourself?
Sort of.
Okay.
So yeah, we think there are statements that are objectively moral, and those statements correspond to something in reality, and we use our knowledge of reality to come to know those things. Those things are principles or a doctrine of what objective morality is.
What are some of the objective moralities?
Moral Platonism, divine command theory, moral law of physics. There's a list of them. The moral natural ones, you just go, there's a list of them on the moral naturalist page. I don't remember them all. One of them is Cornell realism. One of them starts with a T. I don't remember
it. And sorry if this sounds like I'm trying to do a gotcha on you. I'm really not. I'm just really curious.
You already got him, bro.
No, stop. So don't you so all these things that you described, the theory, I didn't remember each and every one of them, but what were these theories and sets of doctrines developed without a God?
Yes.
Atheistically?
Yes, okay. That's what moral naturalism means. It means morality is a thing in nature. It's a natural thing, no supernatural.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Tom, I have a question.
Hey, Frank, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, so you were talking to that guy yesterday, I think it was, about the validity of the resurrection claims.
Yes.
Yeah. So, don't you think it's kind of silly how the Jews would have wanted to put Jesus to death, considering the fact that he did miracles? Like, why would the Jews want to kill somebody who does miracles at that point? Like,
power. So, even if somebody could come down and do miracles, if they were doing miracles in, say, North Korea, Kim Jong-un would definitely kill them because they don't want anybody else to have power other than them. So even if they could do miracles, that doesn't mean that they would accept them into society. And they would, if it is a challenge to their authority and their power, they would definitely want to kill them. Even if the miracles were cool and could benefit the society, they'd still want to kill them because it was a risk to their own power.
Another question. Do you think Jesus, let's say Jesus was real or whatever, but do you think that the miracles he performed, they should have been better miracles that maybe would have convinced more people of the religion rather than the miracles he did? Or what do you think about that?
Yes, because all Jesus's miracles were pretty common at that time period. They were the same ones that everyone did in that general time period. So if he was genuinely trying to convince people, he could have definitely have done more miracles. Like traversing time would have been a great miracle. Go back and forth in time. Awesome.
Making like a temple, make like an entire new residential block rise from the ground without any extra help.
Solve world hunger. That one would have been great.
Yeah.
Super chat from
It's
Jody
like
W.
miracles-
Who would win in a
miracles,
fight?
Like a bunch of what a trickster would do.
Who would win in a fight? Jesus or Thor? It's a tough one.
I'll take Thor.
Jesus would just like throw the infinite bread and fish at him. I don't know what he could do.
Or just strike him with lightning. You know, also Thor's like a. He has a military background.
Jesus is
so-
on a big wooden cross. The lightning wouldn't affect him because there's nothing for it to like traverse through. So Jesus would be fine. He'd be like, nope, wood. I got my wood. Suck it.
Well, there's like iron in his blood. Well, doesn't God even have
Nope,
blood?
nope. Because there was no father, there's no iron in his blood. Ha! Immune to
God
lightning.
modding.
Yeah. So, what is your refutation against the argument that the Muslim God is the same one as the Christian one?
Well, I think they are, but I mean, somebody said that certain entailments in the Quran, if the Quran is an accurate representation of the Muslim God, because the Quran said Jesus was just a prophet and not the Son of God, then that would entail that the God described in the Quran is a different one than the one described in Christianity, because in Christianity it says that Jesus was the Son of God and is God. And so that would entail that there's two separate beings.
Well, I mean, I just don't believe you can trust your senses on that one.
I don't think either exists. So all of my senses say they're both made up.
Proof
is in the pudding, and the pudding says they're both made up.
Could Muhammad be like the Wario to Jesus is Mario? Like could they
That is
actually
true.
be at the same time?
I don't even know what that
No,
means. I would think
Muhammad
he's
didn't do some great things. There's that one debate about the guy, so could be.
I don't think Wario was a pedo, so I wouldn't.
This is just the analogy. I was just thinking it well, and maybe not really.
Yeah, I got a question for you, T.
Sure.
Do you believe that religion is inevitable? Any form of religion? Like,
Well,
let's say we got rid of all three of the big Abrahamic religion. Do you believe that, given some time, people will eventually just create another form of religion to replace that?
Yes, because of our evolution in biology, our brains are primed to create myths. Those are going to be inherent until we solve the bad biology that we have.
Why are you not doing that?
Well, I am. I'm trying to make an atheist religion.
Oh, okay.
I got a question because I just like so you want to make an atheist church. How would that even work? What would you?
I got an extra question on top of that one.
Sure. So the atheist church would be built around my model of objective morality, and our goal would be to follow the objective morality, which is to try to create a world where it's impossible to force anyone to do anything they don't consent to. And the best way we can do to make progress in that would be to like lower the cost of living for as many people as much as possible. And to do that, we're going to like buy an apartment building and make affordable rent for as many people as possible. And that would be one of the ways that we can work towards this objective morality.
So if you created an atheistic religion,
That sounds like a commune, TJump. That sounds like a commune.
That actually does what it says to do.
That sounds more like a commune.
T, I got a question. I have a lot of questions. You're very interesting guy. Let's say that you are in a room, right?
I am,
and you're with this. Let's say you were in a room with this big guy, right? Big, muscular. He can like grab people's skull and crush it. And the only way to leave the room is for one of you to die, right? Would it be moral for you to let him kill you?
Yes.
Wow.
So like if he wanted to kill me and I let him do it, that would be moral, yes, because that would be an assisting his will.
But if he wanted to live?
Then it would be immoral to kill him.
Wait, it would be, no, I mean, if you wanted to live, then it would be immoral of him to kill you?
No. So if I wanted to live, it would be immoral for him to kill me.
Okay. So in that case, violence would be acceptable, right, for self-defense?
No, it would still be immoral. It would just be a justified immoral action. So it would still be immoral for me to kill him, but it would be justified because it's the best I could do given my limitations.
It's justified. Then why it's immoral?
So being immoral. Wait, so being immoral isn't always necessarily a bad thing. in the most extreme cases.
It's always a bad thing. So I'm still killing him. That is still an immoral action. It is always going to be an immoral action. It's always a bad thing.
How will you repent for your immorality after you kill him? Let's say.
I won't repent. There's no like repentance. I'm just going to accept that I'll be immoral.
You're just going to be like, I was bad dude. Sorry.
Yes, I did an immoral.
I did an immoral, and I need to live.
I do lots of those. So I'm not a vegan. I kill and eat animals all the time. That's all. Those are immoral actions. I grant those are immoral, and I just admit that I am an immoral person.
Okay.
Sounds like original sin.
Is that not a contradiction?
No. Original sin means you did sins before you could do anything. That's why it's original. This isn't original. Like you're literally doing an action that is immoral.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, never mind. Lost my train of thought.
Aren't you contradicting yourself?
No, how would I be contradicting myself?
Because you're saying that something is immoral, but then you continue to perform that action.
Yes, I can think something is moral and not do it. Like whether you do something isn't hypocrisy. Like I can know what is moral and not do that thing, and that's perfectly fine. It would only be hypocritical if I said we should all be moral and then I did immoral things, but I didn't say that. So it's not hypocritical. Knowing the answer doesn't necessarily mean you have to do the answer. Like I know what it takes to get in shape, exercise, but I'm not going to do it because I'm too lazy. So I know what morality is, but I don't care. So I'm just immoral.
Do you believe? I know you described that from your perspective, violence is immoral, and I think you'll.
If it's non-consensual, like boxing isn't immoral.
Right.
Yeah, but how can you like? I'm assuming. I'm assuming you want to like advocate for certain moral beliefs or positions
that I think are correct. Yes.
So how can you like do something like that if you're saying that you're not obligated to follow something that's moral? Like how can you tell if you yourself are not following what you think is morally correct? How can you like ask others to do the same thing?
Well, I'm not asking anybody to follow it. I think it's true. So I think it is true that certain facts are moral, and that is independent of whether or not anybody follows them. So whether or not they follow them, I don't care. I just think these are the objectively true facts. So it's like if I say it is objectively the case that the moon is 255,000 miles away, that's true regardless of whether or not I care or act as if it is. It makes no difference.
I think the point that T is trying to make is that he already has a very
I think I agree with what you're so it seems like you have you're like you think you're a moral realist, right?
Yes.
So I think that's fine if you think that there are moral facts that exist.
Yep.
But I was just speaking more from a kind of like a advocacy or like a pragmatic perspective of like spreading what you think is true in the world. And I think if you're not also like acting according to your system, it's not going to be very persuasive to like others. That's all I was saying.
Well, no. So I think that it's fine whether or not like you don't have to be perfectly moral. I'm not saying anybody has to be perfectly moral. Like I think there are many things that are justified immoral actions, like self-defense. It's still bad, still immoral because you're still killing somebody, but it's justified because it's the best you can do with your limitations. So I think it's perfectly fine to say, yes, you can do immoral things like eating meat. It's bad. You don't care. Fine, do it. And most people are perfectly fine with that.
I got a question, T.
Sure.
Do you believe being immoral is bad?
Yes, synonymous with those two things. Yes.
What do you believe would be the outcome if people started to be immoral? What would be the societal implication?
Like if everyone became perfectly moral this second, then probably society would collapse.
Okay. And that includes people eating meat. Like,
yes.
Let's say everybody decided to eat meat. Society would collapse because of that?
If they decided to be immoral?
Yeah.
No, because the success of society isn't contingent on morality.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Hitler was just fine and very successful in not being moral. Morality does not require society does not require
Like in
morality
life.
to thrive.
There's law and order to replace that.
What?
But
I think those are just to go back to earlier point. So if you're justified in the way that you act in a certain scenario like self-defense, I don't think that usually people would consider that immoral, right? They would think that it's justified what you did in that instance, or like, for example, if I'm
there's no
like
such thing as
starving.
a justified moral action. It's like saying the same thing twice.
Yeah,
So
there is.
there's no point of saying there's a justified moral action. It's just moral. Moral is moral. You don't need a justification for doing a moral action. It's just moral. So justification only applies to an immoral action that you're trying to say is necessary for some reason.
So do you think that we apply morality to a scenario that someone is in, or just an action that someone takes, like
Both. Like
regardless
there's
of the
different
scenario?
moral actions that do both of those things. Different moral positions that do both of those things.
Yeah, because in my mind, if there's a scenario in which it's like self-defense, then I wouldn't consider that morally wrong if someone does like kill somebody, right? But if in the abstract they just kill someone and that's the only information I have, then yeah, that would be immoral, like absent any other
And then I'd say you're
information.
wrong. I'd say you just don't have a grasp of objective morality. So I'd say
Okay.
the Jane who says it's
Is
immoral
this
to
not
kill.
like some kind of
One sec.
deontology thing?
No, it's not deontology. So I'd say the Jane who says it is immoral for me to kill that man is a morally superior person to you. So they have a better grasp of morality than you do, and they're right. You're wrong.
Okay, I mean, I think we just disagree here. I think usually people qualify moral
I
statements
don't
with
care
like
what usually
the
people. It doesn't matter. The
scenario.
Jane, like most people usually admit, the Jane who will die without killing another person in self-defense is a morally superior being to someone who thinks it's okay to kill someone in self-defense. Like, yeah, their morality is better.
Wait, you're saying you should just let someone kill you if
Yes,
you're
the super pacifist Jane, the super pacifist monks who will like let people kill them instead of harming them are morally superior to you. Yes.
Okay, bro.
It was
You realize
not even like a controversial statement.
it's just saying you win on the moral chess game. You don't win on like the real life chess game.
Right. Pragmatism is different than morality. Not many evil people
so
do very good in the world.
what good is
Gum.
sorry,
Gum
I have a weird phone. Anyways, what good is it if you are superior morally if you're dead?
Again, different questions. It doesn't make a difference. The fact that you are alive is irrelevant to the facts that you are moral. It's not something
No,
isn't moral because
Okay, so
you survive.
you're not exploring the practicality of it. You're just
Right.
saying
Those
you're just indicating that something is moral and
right. They're completely separate
Yeah,
things. The fact
he's
that
not.
something is the most pragmatic doesn't make it moral. So the fact that it has a good implication on your life is completely irrelevant to morality. Like it doesn't become moral because it will lead to good things in your life.
right.
Yeah, I don't think he's arguing like the practicality of being like a perfectly moral person. I don't think he's saying. I think he even said that's not possible.
I mean, it is possible, but the person would live a very miserable life.
Not sure what to say to that.
I would probably agree. So like a perfectly moral person would be someone who just sold all of their or gave their possessions away to someone in need, just gave all of them away and always gave them away and always did whatever they could to help other people.
The suffering.
That would be miserable. That'd be very miserable.
But if if you wanted to talk about the practical side of it, if the person felt tremendous joy whenever he gave away his stuff, right? Whenever he sacrificed his own time, or whenever he laid down his own life, so the other person can win and continue living, then yeah, I guess it was worth it for him.
Maybe.
But you
That's
realize,
that's just practically speaking. Practically.
Sure.
We're not even referring to objective morals too. Like I could say I'm perfectly moral according to my moral system, yet my moral system says that I need to be very wealthy to, and this is in line with God.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a moral realist. That means I believe there are objective morality is the case. You don't get a subjective morality. I think they're wrong.
Oh, then I would conflict with you. Yeah.
Sure.
See, I'll subscribe to the prosperity churches.
If they gave me money, I would too.
So, TJump, like, how do you feel if people, had different interpretations of your naturalist morality, objective morality?
What? People do have different interpretations. Thank you for the super
Can
chat.
they have
Pineapple
different interpretations?
platypus, pineapple platypotamus, pineapple platypotamus. So you asked what do I think about people having different interpretations of nationalism? They do have different interpretations of nationalism. I don't understand the question. Elijah asked, why do I go against the consensus on morality, but you don't when it comes to Richard Carrier's conclusion that Jesus never existed? Because I don't like I don't go against it. I don't on either one. So I agree with the consensus on morality because most philosophers are moral realists, and I agree with the consensus that Jesus existed, which is the consensus in history. So I go with the consensus on both of those things. It's full of bullcrap.
Do you think there should be consequences for being an immoral person?
Not necessarily. I think that it should just be physically impossible to be immoral, and there shouldn't be any consequences.
What do you mean? What does that even mean? Like you're God or something? You're constructing the universe?
Yeah, like we
So
could
that people
literally write
can't.
it. We could make the universe such that it would stop. We could make the universe such that it was impossible to force anyone to do anything they didn't consent to doing. That should be like the goal of humanity is to make the universe like that.
I was gonna ask something.
Why is consent important? What does that have to do with morality?
That is what I believe the core of morality is. When I look at the evidence of morality, the principle that I think describes what the evidence indicates is that violating consent is immoral.
So.
Do you have any studies that show objective morality in
Nope.
animals? Because
What?
I'd like to see that.
Well, sort of. There's lots of studies that do show different kinds of morality in animals. Like there's the one on the Capuchin monkeys, I think, where one is given grapes and the other is given like celery or something. And the one that's given celery is angry and throws the celery and throws a fit because they were unevenly paid. So then there's other cases where like I think dolphins and elephants also show signs of morality. There have been a numbers of studies on that.
Are you equating fairness and cognitive function of some sort to morality?
Our feelings of morality, yes. Like the
how do you
feelings we get.
describe, or how do you define morality personally, I guess, is where I should start.
Moral realism. I think there are certain facts that are true about moral statements, and I think it's just a feature of nature. Principles that describe the right and wrong things to do.
So how does that objectively exist in nature, though? Is what I'm like. How is there an objective?
It's like a law
right
of
or
physics,
wrong?
like any other law of physics. It's a higher order emergent property. Google moral naturalism.
Sure, but does that mean that you are using some kind of like empiricist process to come to whatever your moral truths are?
Yes.
Okay. And
So, real quick, are you saying morality objectively exists within animals and that's objective morality? Or are you saying there's objective measures for right and wrong in nature?
Morality exists like a law of physics. It permeates the universe and it affects things, which it would affect animals and humans, like gravity does. So it doesn't like exist in animals.
So do you think that something can be objective if it's subject to
Was that the
it
full question?
exists
If something
irrespective.
can be like, if I can doubt something, can it be claimed that this thing is objective?
Yes, there are flat earthers. That's a stupid question.
Oh,
So to you, it exists irrespective of minds, TJump?
Yes, it is a law of physics like gravity. Higher order emergent property, law of physics.
no,
So
but
it
these are
affects
two
minds.
different. So then, how can you account for the fact that laws of physics have changed over time through like new information? How can something like that be objective?
What? The fact that they have changed doesn't make them not objective. They're still objective. Like gravity was repulsive at the early universe. It's still objective. I don't know what. I don't understand your question.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean that's just like a fully encompassing law that explains that behavior. I'm not disputing that. I'm saying more like you're saying the theories of physics themselves have changed.
Well,
Like
those are all subjective. So
you had
none of those are
Newtonian
objective.
physics before.
Like the theories that we created were created by a guy, and they're models that they've made up in their head to try to correspond to reality. So we think they describe the objective thing there that exists, like curvature of space-time, but the model itself is a thing Einstein made up in his head. So the models are subjective, and we hope that they describe reality as it is, the objective thing.
I agree with you there. So then in the same way, the model that you've came up with consent is like subjective with
Yes.
respect to you, and you're trying to grasp something that's subjective that may be out there, right?
No, so it's a subjective model that I made up, which is trying to correspond to something subjective in the objective in the world, like general relativity is. It's a subjective model Einstein made up in an attempt to describe a thing in nature.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know how you can then go ahead and claim that it's objective if you're just admitting that it's like something that you came up with.
Ah, that's so
Maybe
stupid. So general relativity refers to space-time bending. Space-time bending, if it's true, is objective. Even though it's an idea Einstein subjectively came up with, whether or not it corresponds to reality is a question of objectivity. So it doesn't matter. People subjectively come up with things all the time. Every idea starts off with that. But if those ideas correspond to something independent of minds, then it's objective. It's not even hard.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, but I don't think that we can know with certainty whether it actually does
We
correspond
don't
with
need to.
reality.
We don't need certainty. No, certainty isn't required for knowledge. Fallibilism.
So what is it that right and wrong correspond to that's independent of minds?
A law of physics. It's literally just a law of physics. There's a field, and the field is this.
Can I answer this question, please? So right and wrong,
you
right?
think good and bad is like some field that influences us, like
Yeah, I think
kind of
good and bad are words we
Buddhism?
use to describe some field that causes us to get those feelings.
TJump, can I ask this? Can I answer this question, please? TJump?
Sure.
So right and wrong is what is right is what is valuable to you, and what is wrong is what taken out values. You understand? So
That's
No.
not what
No one
T-Jump
understood
No.
that.
this
No.
is morals. This is morals. I'm telling
That's not
you.
No.
what T-Jump
No.
was saying though.
Right is what is valuable to you, and wrong is
No.
what is the
Post.
opposite.
Post. He's asking about my model, so that would be wrong. Your answer would be wrong. So in my
Oh, my
model,
bad.
right and wrong are feelings we get, but those feelings we get are caused by some field, and those so it causes this sense of good and bad and right and wrong, and we use those labels to describe these feelings, and these feelings are a result of this field.
Does the field change?
I don't think so. Hope not.
So it just sounds like you're prescribing to some sort of like virtue ethics that
No, it's not a
there's
virtue
this.
ethics. The virtue ethics
So
says that the virtues, the desires are what's good, and the virtues are not what's good. It's more of a consequentialism where the consequences are what matter.
Okay, so TJump, are you saying that the good and bad that good and bad exist in the same way that, let's say, the Higgs boson field
No,
does?
good and bad are feelings we get to describe something that exists. So there is a thing there, a field, and it causes us to feel good and bad, and we label it with those words. The words themselves are just words humans made up to describe the thing.
Okay, but what if two people inside the field have opposing feelings on the good and bad side?
So it doesn't matter.
Well, I'm not saying it matters. I'm just curious logically what this means.
It's like two people see different things. They have different kinds of brains which are receptive at different levels. So like some people are colorblind. They can't see colors. That doesn't mean colors aren't there. So the fact that people have different opinions,
I
different
hear somebody's
interpretations.
interrupting.
Yeah. So it's like color. Some people are colorblind. Some people are completely blind. The fact that people are blind to moral intuitions or are colorblind and see the wrong kinds of things, it just means that their brain is receptive to it differently.
Okay. Well, so the field analogy there would be like the color spectrum.
Yes. So there's an actually existing thing and it affects our brains differently if we have different brain structures.
I'd have to think about that.
So if you had a sadist determine your moral structure, you'd be in big trouble, right?
Well, no one, if it's objective, no one gets to determine it.
So, is slavery? Where does that fall?
Immoral? The slavery is immoral if they don't consent. Like if you consent to be a slave, then it's fine. But if they don't consent, then it's immoral.
But
Dude, his whole thing is like based off of consent.
Yes.
There was.
Yeah, but y'all aren't engaging with the point he's making. So saying it's immoral, does that mean like you're getting that feeling from this field?
Sort of. It means the field it describes what is moral and immoral, and it gives us the feeling.
So why
It's like
do
a
people
sense.
not have that feeling for a long period of time? In fact,
Same reason people are blind. Some people can't see because their brains can't accept the information from the world.
Okay, so this is why I asked you, does this field change? Because
I don't think so, but it could.
Humans, well, but if humans within it drastically
Literally
shift,
doesn't matter. Literally does not matter at all. Your brain changes.
Why?
Your brain changes. Some people can go from seeing to going to colorblind to going to not being able to see. Literally doesn't matter whether or not some people change over time.
I think he's just
it doesn't?
positing that there's an objective reality out there that exists, and then we are like biology can change and what we see can change, but the fact that there is a reality is just like something that's given.
Yes.
Okay, but conceptually though, if humans suddenly started becoming way more frequent in their colorblindness, I would wonder what was causing
Oh,
that.
sure. Yeah. So like if all human morality changed in some particular way that was different from what we see as the pattern of moral progress, I would count that as evidence against my model. Yes.
Okay, so you're building in moral progress like into the equation already.
Yeah, moral intuition and moral progress are the two foundational sources of building models in moral epistemology.
So what do you think happens in terms of moral progress then? It's like a theory like in physics that's being updated to better account for like phenomena? Is it like a similar thing?
Moral progress is the fact that as our society moves forward and gains in technology, our moral intuitions change in a very particular way. So as we gain in technology and resources, the scope of morality increases. So we care about things that we didn't care about before. And this pattern is what we call moral progress.
TJ, what is your channel all
And
about?
then you are beta male.
Okay, that was weird. What is your channel all about?
Promoting my epistemology and morality. I usually invite on professors, philosophers, physicists, biologists, historians to talk about arguments and evidence for the existence of God, and I use my epistemology to counter those arguments to demonstrate the effectiveness of my epistemology.
So you are a creationist or an atheist?
Atheist.
Got it.
Or if you ask James, I am Kent Hovind's son.
Okay, so how would you differentiate between changes in the context that is more progress and changes that are like something went wrong, like the color blindness?
Like if we see the general trend that happens to the majority of people, that would be like a change in the overall thing, where if it only happens to a small minority of people, then it's probably not significant, kind of like on any kind of representative statistical graph. If you see a few dots at the top or a few dots at the bottom, but you can still draw a line through the majority of the dots, then the few dots at the top and the bottom are kind of irrelevant to the overall pattern in the data. So the overall pattern in the data is what's significant to the actual trend, and the outliers are not really representative of the entire objective pattern.
Okay, maybe my question wasn't posed like very clearly. What I'm asking is, how would you, like, if you zoomed out and looked at it, how would you tell the difference between transitions among humans that is moral progress and transitions that are actually moral regress?
It wouldn't make a difference. All that matters is the pattern, not what you call it. So like if there's a very consistent pattern of the direction of how it's changing and it's always going in one direction, then we're going to call that, you can call it blurg, but it's always going to be in one direction. What matters is what's the direction.
Okay, and how are you measuring direction here?
By plotting it all off on a number line and then drawing a line through the data points. So like it doesn't matter what you label the X and the Y graph. So like if you have a graph and you have a whole bunch of dots on the graph, if you draw a line and the line points in one particular direction, that's evidence there is a direction in which it's going. It doesn't matter if you label it progress or regress. It's irrelevant. Nobody cares. You label it blurg. Who cares? The point is that there is this very consistent direction it's going in, which is the direction, I think, that it leads towards involuntary imposition of will as a moral. So all of the things that we see as changing in moral progress over time is like elimination of slavery, women's rights, workers' rights, valuing animals' lives, veganism, eliminating or giving rights to LGBTQ people, workers' rights, like all of this, the pattern goes in a very specific direction, which is more human rights, essentially, more consciousness rights. And so that pattern, you can call it regress if you want. I couldn't care less. The pattern's still there, and so the model still works.
No, it is completely irrelevant how you label it, because
no, it's not. It's literally not. You can label it
could
blurg.
just as easily, the direction can just as easily change into some other
Well,
belief.
if the direction changes, that would be evidence
and then would
against
you
the
just
model.
completely shift?
No, but
Sure,
but
I mean,
I think what you guys are doing is TJump right now is looking at the yearly chart, right? Like he's looking at a huge time scale with huge number samples, right? You
Yes.
guys are looking at like the minute by minute, the day by day, as to exactly how people behave and what their morals are, right?
No, I mean,
if there's a general trend that you see despite the discrepancy on the daily plots of these information, it's still a general trend. That's what he's saying.
No, the issue is that he's getting an ought from this trend, right? He's saying
No,
that, oh,
there's no
there
oughts.
exists this.
There's no odds.
Well, okay. Oh, sorry. You think this is a moral fact that this trend is representing?
No, he's
But
saying
regardless,
he's saying descriptively. Yeah.
Yeah, it's descriptive.
Yeah, but regardless, this is what you're using to come up with what you think is like the objective moral thing to do. So that's what I'm saying is this is something that's subject to change if the trend changes. Correct?
All models are subject to new evidence. So if there's new evidence, obviously you're going to change the model. So like right now there isn't new evidence, so it goes in this direction. If there was new evidence, then I'd change the model.
It just seems like you're just like subject to whatever the direction.
Well, why don't you
is.
just ask him like
Everyone is subject to the
question.
direction of evidence. That's how all science works. You look at the evidence, plot out the evidence. If the evidence changes, you got to change your theory. That's how evidence works. Obviously, it's subject to new evidence. If it wasn't, that would be begging the question.
No,
maybe
it's
you already
not-
addressed this, but like, how do you tell that the plotting that you're doing is evidence of something good?
Again, the labeling here doesn't matter. You can label it
He
whatever you
doesn't
want. I
care.
don't care. All I care is there a pattern? The pattern is yes, there's a pattern. If you want to say moving towards a world where there is less involuntary imposition of consent is bad, you can label it that way. I don't care. I'm going to call it good because that's what I intuitively feel like it should be labeled.
BVC, are you assuming your own moral standard to what he would produce?
What?
I don't
No,
understand.
I'm not making
Like
an assumption.
you would say, how would it be something good? Like, I don't understand what you mean by that.
Well, that's what I'm just asking because y'all already had a conversation going before I jumped in. So it seems only like you're saying you have all this data if you look back in time, and there seems to be a direction, and that direction's good. But maybe you're not saying that.
No, I'm just labeling it. So the good is a label here. So I'm just saying there's a pattern. I'm going to label that direction the good direction. So to me, it seems intuitive that if we move towards a place that has more accepting and tends to make less involuntary consent, so less cases of forcing people to do things they don't consent to doing, I think that should be labeled good. I think
more in line with
Yeah, I mean, intuitively, I agree, of course. But
yeah, as long as it aligns with humanism, right?
Well, no. So I think humanism only applies predominantly to humans, whereas I'd say it would apply to all conscious things, so not specifically humans.
So you think like having a pet, sorry, having a pet is something that's immoral because you're constraining the consent of your pet?
In the best of all possible worlds, yeah. So like if we could give animals complete freedom to do what they wanted to and didn't like chain them, then yeah, that would be a morally better world.
Can I ask you something? Do you believe that the general trend that you're talking about in one direction would have been the same if we plotted these during the Roman Empire times, or
Yep.
during the Egyptian times,
Yes.
or thousands of years ago?
Yes,
Okay.
the trend is throughout all time. So if we look back at like when we were pygmy tribes or hunter-gatherer tribes, the morality in those societies was significantly less progressed than the Romans. So like in the hunter-gatherer tribes, you see a new person, you kill them because you don't want them to steal your stuff. And Romans, they didn't do that as much. They wasn't like, oh, there's a new person, I'm going to go kill them. They didn't see things that way. They had rule of law. They had more rights. They didn't have as many rights as we have today because they weren't as progressed, but they were still more progressed than the societies before them.
That makes sense. Okay. That's interesting. Wow.
It's pretty standard, kind of like modern thought. The field part is the thing I'm trying to wrap my head around still.
Google moral naturalism.
So are you like a abolitionist of like all laws because you think that they
Sort of.
infringe on people's freedom?
Sort of. So like once we get to the point where they do more harm than good, yes, they're immoral. So like stoplights are immoral. You shouldn't have to stop. But we put them there because if we didn't have them, it would cause a greater amount of suffering and immorality than if we do have them. And so it's a justified immoral action. Still bad. Still world would be better without them if we could have without them, but we need them to prevent a greater immorality. And so they're justified.
But with
Justified immoral
roundabouts,
action.
with roundabouts, it would always be a morally bad thing, right?
Sort of. So any involuntary imposition of will is objectively immoral, but some can prevent greater immorality. So like stopping your kid from running into the street, that's immoral because you've stopped them from doing something they want to do, but you've prevented a greater immorality, which is if they get hit by the car, that's going to be a greater imposition on their will than you stopping them. And so it's a justified immoral action. So there are many.
Yeah, if you can get this instituted and get roundabouts to replace stop signs, I'll jump on board.
That's definitely, I would do that because all of the data shows roundabouts are safer. All of them, all the data. So I would.
So
I would
you
definitely
would say that when we land in Europe during the 1940s to defeat the Germans and the Nazi Party, that was a justified immoral action.
Yes, because we're killing some to save more than them. Some, yes. So
Right.
Any kind of killing is always going to be immoral because it's an involuntary imposition of will, but it
How would
justified.
you?
It's justified if it's done to save more people.
How would you posit the moral actions of us invading Iraq and Afghanistan?
Obviously immoral. Those were not moral actions.
Not justified. Got it.
Those weren't justified.
This almost seems like some utilitarian ethic where you're saying that whatever does the least amount of harm is okay.
Justified. So it's utilitarian. Utilitarianism says whatever is the least amount of harm is moral, and I think that's wrong. So like in utilitarianism, killing one to save five is moral. I'd say no, it's still immoral. You just done one immoral action, five moral actions. So the net is four moral actions. But mine, it would not be classified as utilitarianism because it says any involuntary imposition of will is wrong. So it's not determined by some net calculation. It's a objective rule that you must follow, like a
No, but
categorical
you
rule.
just said that you prefer stopping the kid from running rather than letting them
It's not moral.
run and get hit by the
It's
car.
still immoral. So like utilitarianism says it becomes moral if the consequence of not doing it would be greater. But mine says no, it does not become moral. It's still immoral. It's just justified. So it's pragmatically we should do it because it would be a lesser bad thing. But it's not a good thing. It's not a moral thing. It's just a lesser bad thing.
No, but that's exactly what I'm saying is
immoral
with
things,
respect to what standard is it less bad, right?
Less
It's like what are you
involuntary
appealing
imposition of
to?
consent. Less involuntary imposition of consent. So like
Yeah,
giving
and
someone
that's
a
where
shot
the
is less than killing them or letting them die from cancer or something.
yeah, and that's where I feel like the utilitarianism comes
Well,
into
that's
it.
pragmatic. So that's in our pragmatic world. The pragmatic thing we should do is obviously going to be utilitarianism, but my model is an objective model of morality. Utilitarianism which is trying to assess what is moral, is wrong. I would say that there is an objective standard that is not utilitarian, but what we pragmatically do is going to be utilitarian. What we should do is going to be utilitarian, but it isn't going to be the objectively moral thing.
Okay, I have a question. Why does your intuition lead you to the kind of belief that there exists an objective morality when you said before that you can't, I guess, like definitively prove the existence of your moral field?
Well, intuitions are based on evolution, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, well, there must be some justification in your mind, or is there no justification?
Sure, you'd have to Google moral naturalism and look at the different arguments for moral realism.
Yeah, just Google it, dude.
Just Google it, dude. It's right. Like, I don't think there's any proof. Like, if I could prove it, I'd have a Nobel Prize. So I don't think there's any strong proof of this for sure. Just a
I see what you're saying.
So you conceptualize it like there is an objective standard in the same way that Saturn would probably still be there even if humans disappeared.
Yeah, it's like a law of physics. So it's like a field. It exists there regardless of whether humans exist.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to research like some of the arguments because it's intuitively that seems a little bit strange to me. Like on a moral realm, I don't know
I
how
mean,
would
if you're a realist,
it would be, dude. Well, you just can't help yourself, huh?
Yeah. So if you want to,
I just don't really see the similarity to physics.
Well, that's just an analogy. So it's an analogy to say it is a physical field. It's a quantum field. Everything is a quantum field. So it's going to be a quantum field. It's just using physics as an analogy here to try and help you explain it. I'm not saying it's literally space-time, but it's a field like space-time. If you want to research more about it, Google moral naturalism, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy.
All right.
If you're like a realist about the physical world, it would work in the same way, right? It's just applying it to morality.
Yes.
Yeah, just clarifying.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily follow though, because I can make an argument that this intuition he's talking about is just like a thing that exists among humans, not necessarily that there's some objective standard that ought to be seen as moral.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
you can obviously make the argument, but that doesn't change the point. The position is that would be wrong. The fact that you can make an argument doesn't change the position.
You could even make he said this earlier. You can make like an empiricist argument against that. You could give examples of like morality in like animals or something like that.
Well, if it like morality in animals would be evidence for it, not evidence against it. But if like the moral paradigm changed, then it would be like evidence against it. So like if we discovered aliens that had a completely different moral spectrum that said eating babies is the right thing to do or something, then that would be evidence against it. So if there are different species that had a different moral pattern, or our moral pattern suddenly shifted completely outside of the one being described in the model, then that would be evidence against the model.
So you think when they run experiments on like monkeys, for example, and they have some kind of primitive justice orientations, you think they're somehow recognizing this same field?
Probably.
Okay.
Do you have any way of distinguishing between what this field and like evolutionary like psychology? Like it's like better for them to create a justice system because it like I don't know leads to like a better society or whatever.
If I had any hard evidence like that, I'd have a Nobel Prize. So no, I don't have any hard evidence. The best thing I can do is make predictions that we'll see the same pattern in species and like AIs and things that didn't evolve. So if we find this pattern in other species, like if AIs have a moral framework and that moral framework follows the same patterns, then that would show it's not evolutionary.
Yeah, I just wonder if this is more just a proxy for technological advancement. And it seems like moral progress, but it's really just technological progress.
Well, technological progress wouldn't explain why we have our scope of moral value increases. Like the fact that we gain in technology doesn't mean that we would inherently value animals more, or that we would inherently value other people's more. Like we could gain in technology and still mass murder the crap out of people and not care. So it doesn't seem to be any necessary relation to our technological gain and whether or not we care about other people.
Yeah, I agree. It's not necessarily the case. I just wonder if just having the capacity to expand our like moral intuitions is the thing that's doing the work there.
Well, that's the phenomenon. The question is, why is that phenomenon there?
Yeah, I have no answer, obviously.
You know you're fucked when a guy tells you you're the practical one. Oh my god. Oh no, I'm in the wrong VC. I'm sorry. Cringe.
Yeah. So anyway, TJump, how do you justify the belief in a non-God world?
You cut out. You said non-God. What?
World.
Did you say worldview? Your last word is always cutting out. Like add like 3 words.
Yeah. So I think my last word was worldview.
He said, "God does not exist."
Just
because...
restate your.
So I think you're saying what how do I justify the belief in a non-God worldview? And the way I do that is because there's no evidence that indicates a God, and all beliefs are always imaginary until you actually have evidence to indicate they're more than imaginary. So it's rational to conclude the God belief is purely a figment of people's imagination until evidence is provided. There's no evidence that's been provided. It's rational to conclude it's imaginary.
Is this an argumentum ad ignorantum?
No. Because there's an
So
argument.
like
An argument from ignorance. An argument from ignorance is saying, "Here's something we don't know, therefore it must be something else." Like, no, that's not the argument. Like, if you provide no positive evidence for something, it's rational to conclude that it's imaginary, given the fact that most human things we come up with are imaginary. So, if humans have made something up in our heads and there's no evidence provided that it's something outside of our heads, it's rational to conclude it's just something in our heads.
No, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Yes, it is. It actually is in many cases. Like if I say there is no water in this cup and I look, oh, look, there's no evidence. There's no water. That is absence of evidence is evidence of absence.
Or there could be something wrong with your eyes where you can't see it, and there's actually
The fact that there's other possible explanations doesn't make it not evidence. It's still evidence. So the absence of evidence is still evidence of absence. It's just not perfect evidence. It's not complete. It is still evidence though. So absence of evidence can be evidence of absence.
Or at the very least, it's the strongest inference available there.
But you're asserting the opposite, right? So if you were just saying something like "we don't know for sure," I think that would be fine.
No,
right?
I'm saying that humans are dumb and make stuff up all the time, and it's rational to conclude that any idea any human comes up with is one of those dumb ones. There's a good inductive case to be made there.
Okay. So you're just making a generalization of humans and their
It's
ideas.
inductive, so it's an inductive argument. Inductive arguments.
Wait, do you disagree with him on that point?
That people just spontaneously come up with like
stupid
bad
ideas?
Yeah, that is not your common experience. That is for me.
Yeah, because you don't have an
It's not
intellectual
about
group of friends.
it's not about like my personal experience, right? This is about like he's making a statement about all humans in general. There would have to be like some kind of study or something, right? Like it doesn't matter what I feel.
Yes, that's just history is the study there. So like most people's ideas of how the world worked were completely stupid for the vast majority of human history. So humans came to existence approximately 200,000 years ago. Most of their ideas were completely garbage until about 300 years ago.
But so like with your point, right? Like either God exists or doesn't exist.
So any idea humans
Why
come up
can't
with
you
is
just say
probably
I
one of the
don't
garbage
know,
ones.
right? Like I don't have enough evidence to say in one way or the other. Why
Because
is
it's
that not enough?
rational to conclude that if no positive evidence has been provided, it's most likely just a thing someone made up within their head. That is a rational conclusion to make.
Okay.
Like most philosophers are atheists, but God does not exist atheists.
Do you believe in a prime mover, sir?
Yes, it is a potato.
So your metaphysical primary is a potato.
Yes. Potato.
So I feel like all your stuff just rests on
One of those
evidence.
sprouty ones, right?
Definitely.
So that means you believe in a poisonous worldview.
Potatoes are not
Things are
poisonous.
getting. I think we're too many layers deep on the potato joke.
No. Potatoes are not poisonous. It's the miniature leprechauns in the potatoes that are actually the poisonous thing. So it's not the potato.
It's the onion.
Okay, teacher, I have a question for you. If you were to go about, so for example, myself, I would, if you were to go about trying to convince someone of moral naturalism, how would you do that?
I would say that if it is the case that there is an objective moral framework, then when we discover aliens or AIs, that those things will also follow the same moral patterns that we see here on Earth. And so once we see that, and if it happens, that would be good evidence for you to believe that morality is something more than just a psychological phenomenon.
Okay, sure. Isn't there more than one explanation for kind of morality being shared among beings rather than just it exists objectively?
None that I'm aware of.
Wait, did
Because
you
there's-
include AI
Yes.
in your response?
Yes.
Hmm.
So like if artificial intelligence discovers some moral pattern in other species all over the world, whether they're silicone-based, carbon-based, if we discover them, they all follow the same pattern, that's good evidence that this is more than just an evolutionary or psychological or social constructive-based pattern. Thank you, Gnorp, for the super chat.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. Like, if we came in contact with an alien species and had the data necessary to like do the same kind of moral progress analysis, I think that would be strong evidence. But AI, I'd be worried about like derivations of human influence there. But
Yes, that would be, so like obviously if they pre-programmed something into it, that would be not good evidence for the model. But if they didn't and it came up to it on its own, that would be good evidence for the model.
or like humans aren't able to tell the difference, like AIs, from just a really advanced program that's following our habits.
Huh?
Like it's possible that we would reach a point where we can't differentiate between this quote unquote AI and just things that we told them to do.
Right. So,
I'd be worried about
like
that
if we
kind of
discovered an AI that didn't come from Earth, then that would be separate from humans. So obviously, when humans try to build something into an AI,
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I wasn't including AI like from another
right.
species
So
from
I'm
another
saying
part of the.
all of them, all of the different forms of life
Okay.
will follow this pattern. That's why objective.
Yo, what's going on?
ZPD, why can't the morality in the AI also be a result of evolution? Because they wouldn't have evolved in the same kind of. I mean, you could call their growth evolution in some sense, but it wouldn't be analogous to the evolution of what we mean here on Earth of the social species kind of a thing. And if there was literally no other way for life forms to form without this social species kind of evolutional thingy, that would also be good evidence that it's objective in some sense. So that would be odd.
Yeah, the question for me would mostly be, is this all, it's just a byproduct of evolving in our given construct? Like maybe there's like a different natural moral order in a different evolutionary environment.
Yep, that would be evidence against the model if that was the case.
So it
Would
seems
would
like
that counter your model? Maybe I don't know enough about your specific model, but it seems like it's possible that it would hold just with a different set of set of data points.
Maybe it depends on what you mean. Like if there was
like
a
some
law of,
silicone-based evolutionary process on an entirely different world evolved a similar kind of like natural orientation for morality, but in maybe a different direction or a different set of progress.
well, it depends on like what the direction is. If the direction is it's okay to eat babies or something, that would completely violate my model's premises, and so that would definitely violate my version
because
of
you've got
objective
this
morality.
like starting point on consent, right?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be an argument against like moral naturalism necessarily, right? It would just be against your version of moral naturalism that places consent first.
Yes.
Okay.
So it seems like a lot of your stuff rests on evidence, right? You think that it makes rational sense to believe what has evidence. But even this idea of evidence, you're presupposing some kind of way that we can distinguish what is evidence and isn't good evidence, like
Yes.
some kind
Well,
of
I'm
like
not
truth
presupposing it.
that exists.
Well, I'm not presupposing it. It's a posteriori. So it's like I start with cogito. I think, therefore I am. And of my experiences, some of them are different than others. Like I can see, I imagine a unicorn. I don't see a unicorn, and so I need some kind of methodology to distinguish between which ones are the ones in my head, which ones are the ones are the experiential ones. And the best way to do that is with novel testable predictions. If you have a model that can accurately predict the future, that's a good reason to believe that model describes the things that you are in the experiential world, reality, independent of your imagination, because your imagination is very bad at predicting the future. So if you have a model that can accurately predict the future, it's probably describing something other than your imagination. And that is what gives us a good grounds to establish what is and isn't evidence.
Yeah, but you are saying that there is something that is other than your imagination to begin with, like to even go on the endeavor that you're
So like
saying
there's a difference between
you're doing.
what I imagine and what I experience. Whether or not those things are both imaginary is irrelevant. There's two classes of things here. One is the things that are specifically imaginary, and one of the things are the experiential things, which they both might be fundamentally imaginary, like if solipsism is true, whatever, but it doesn't matter. The point here is that when I imagine things, I can't predict the future very well. But if I have some kind of a model that can predict what my future experiences will be, that model is likely to correspond to something more than just my imagination, because my imagination does not do that.
So you just care about predicting your experience. You don't really care about whether or not those experiences actually correspond to some like kind of objective reality.
The model that I use that can predict the future says there's an external reality, and so I'm justified in believing that model.
That's like circular.
No. Which premise is in the conclusion?
If it presupposes anything, it would be like causality.
I don't like causality, but it's not circular because it's simply saying, if my hypothesis is true, here's what we would expect to see. Do the experiment. Do we see it? Yes. Then I'm justified in believing the hypothesis. It's not circular. It's just science.
No, but I'm saying like there is some conception of truth that you need in order to even start on the endeavor that you're going on, right? Where you're saying that, oh, I have there's imaginary stuff, and then I have my experience, and I'm trying to predict like what will be my next experience, right? So I'm saying that you're setting up this game that already presupposes some kind of standard that you're distinguishing between, right?
No, because it's experience. We're not presupposing it. When I imagine a unicorn, I don't see a unicorn. That's not a presupposition. It's a posteriori. It's something we're literally experiencing.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that you're having experiences. I am disputing the what is it called? Like the reality of that experience, if it has any kind of
Well,
truth to it.
the only claim in the premise is that I'm experiencing different things. That's the only claim. The external reality thing is completely separate to this. It's saying I'm experiencing some things like a unicorn, which I don't see, and what I do see is different than the unicorn. These are separate things. I know they're separate because one I'm imagining and I don't see it. So they're separate things. We know there's no presuppositions there. And then I can say, well, if I want to describe the things I'm seeing, I need to build a model. To build a model that can predict the future of the things I'm going to see, the future things I'm going to see. Now, in this model,
Doesn't that require causality?
Sort of. Causality is probably not fundamental in physics, so no, but separate topic. So in my model, I say, I think the things I'm experiencing are existing independent of my mind. And they operate under these laws of physics or whatever. And if these are the case, then here are the things I expect to see in the future. And then I do the experiment. Do I see them? Yes, I do see them. So now all of the premises, which I just made up, they're just a hypothesis. You can put whatever premises you want into any hypothesis. And if the predictions of that hypothesis come true, you're justified in believing all of the different premises in the hypothesis.
Yeah, but I think therefore I am. The second you take the presupposition, I think therefore I am.
There's no presupposition
in
there.
your worldview. Okay, but you don't have to call it presupposition. The second you take that to be true in your worldview, you have causality.
No.
Didn't I realize?
No.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Because the second that's established to be true, then all the equations that describe the universe are established to describe
No.
that natural order of the universe.
No.
And you can recursively trace them upwards. Yeah.
No. Literally none of that follows. Causality could be false, and you could still
Wait,
have I
why
think
not?
before I am.
Wait, so if my first statement in my worldview is my sense perceptions are reliable,
No, that's not it.
then
That
how
was
does that not?
No, none of those were in my statement. Sense
Doesn't even
Okay,
have to
perception.
my
do with things.
experience, I'm experiencing things.
Yes. That's a
Okay.
description of the
Okay.
thing that is occurring. So there's something that is occurring, and you're describing that with words.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
like his
okay.
most.
So
That's
you
like his
you
most
so you-
bound.
okay. So you're establishing some metaphysical. Okay, I see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like his most sound premise, right? It's just I think
Yeah, you're
there's something
establishing
that's
a
taking place.
metaphysical, like a religious person would, or anything else. Yeah.
No, religious people start
Wait,
with
hold on, dude.
Wait, then
something
how?
separate.
Wait, if you're not, then how is that not the same assumption as taking your sense perceptions to be reliable? If
Because
it's
I'm
not
not
just physical.
saying anything is reliable. Like my sense perception can be completely wrong,
Hmm.
but I'm still experiencing something. So like experience is an object, like a rock. A rock exists. There's no presuppositions
Well,
there.
what
There's no logic
Okay.
justification. It's a thing. So experience is
Is
a literal
experience-
thing that literally exists.
Does experience
like there's-
include okay? So does experience include a set of sense perception and something else, or just? It sounds like you're saying, or not
It's not
sense
saying
perception
anything.
at all.
It's not saying anything about your sense perception
even
being
sense
like
perception.
accurate or reliable or whatever, as far as like what it reflects reality. It's just saying you are experiencing like the phenomenon of like
Yeah, but the
having
second you
sensory
make that
input.
leap, you enter the realm of unexplainable metaphysics, because
What
otherwise,
leap? What leap?
It's either sense perceptions and determinism or metaphysics.
No,
you don't have any idea what
no. Like
Yeah.
no. So metaphysics is the fundamental nature of reality. Our conscious experience may or may not describe that. It describes a thing in reality, which may be emergent or composite, and that's fine. And so it has nothing to do with determinism. It has nothing to do with sense perception. There may not be like I could be a brain in the vat, and that's fine too. None of that matters. It doesn't even have to be metaphysical. It's just
Oh, I
this is
think it
a
does matter,
statement of fact.
I would argue it does.
exist.
This doesn't make it.
Okay,
So
when you say the word experience,
Yeah.
does that include a set of some? Can you try to explain what that is? Does it include? It's just the basis of all things, right?
No, it's the basis of my
Okay.
knowledge. But like
Okay.
God could
Because
exist. I could be a brain in a vat. My experience
yeah,
is just
your context. Your context, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't see
we
how that. Okay.
Like there's no
You could
metaphysical
be- you
conclusion
could
here.
be wrong.
It doesn't say anything
Uh,
about whether or not I'm physical, whether or not I'm dualistic, or whether or not I'm idealistic. It doesn't
Well, I
say if
would argue it
solipsism is true.
does.
It doesn't say any of those things. Literally doesn't
Because
care.
if you're not saying it's if you're saying it's not sense perception, if experience doesn't include sense perception, and you can't tell me anything else that it includes,
Well, no. So again,
then-
it doesn't. The classes here, sense perception is just a word to refer to a class of experiences.
yeah,
Like,
it's just a word. I know. Yeah.
So
I'm
like
trying
there's
to
clearly
describe,
a
like-
difference between me imagining a unicorn and me seeing a TV screen. Like when I imagine a unicorn, I don't see it. It doesn't appear in my sense experience, right? So
But
there's two
isn't the
classes
point-
of things
what-
there.
Okay. But isn't the point whether you use the word sense okay, but whether you use the word sense perception or experience, the moment you establish it to be true, the equations describe the natural world, don't they?
No, equations are irrelevant.
Wait,
here.
how
Equations
does
could
that-
describe nothing. Like all the equations could be wrong. I could be in idealism or solipsism world, and the equations are just garbage. So equations have nothing
Yeah,
to do
but
with
there's
this.
nothing.
No, there can be things
Yeah,
that
but
exist
dude,
without equations.
But
I
you
don't
already
really think
established-
you're
but you already
you're trying to
established
argue
that they
against him
are.
without really understanding the point. Like so, a colorblind person and someone who's not colorblind, they both have an experience. That doesn't tell us whether or not their sense
No, that's
perception
something
maps onto reality objectively.
No, that's different. No. This is coming from a point. If you like take a, if you take a point where like your worldview is a blank slate, and you just say my experience, just my experience exists.
Yeah.
Here you go. Right. You would necessarily like all you talking to me right now is true. When you take that
No.
assumption, so you can trace
What do you mean
equations.
when you're saying true?
I don't understand.
And what is
the leap
true?
here.
What are you doing?
Like when you're saying
it
true, you
exists.
obviously mean something different.
Yeah, it exists.
No, I'm saying that what your point when you're saying, oh, you're establishing this to be true.
Wait,
like
so-
it
so,
sounds
like-
like you're sneaking in something there.
Me,
Okay, well,
me
okay.
thinking.
Can I
One
say
sec.
this at
Me
least?
thinking
TJump, do you
isn't the
believe all
same.
worldviews begin?
So,
Do you,
so
do you
one sec,
believe
one
all
sec.
worldviews begin with a
Red.
presupposition?
You made a
Okay,
jump
sorry.
there that I'm not following. So you said me thinking that would be true, but me talking to you would not necessarily be true. Like if solipsism is the case, you don't exist. So my experience existing doesn't entail that me talking to you is true.
In the case of solipsism, surely just anything which is concordant with the experience itself is true.
Well, the experience was true, but whether or not the experience corresponds to an independent reality would not be true. So, like me talking to this guy who is an independent person would not be true.
No, so right, but the thing
No,
is that
so
if
no, right?
solipsism is
It's
true, then it's just the experience itself
Yes.
defines tautologically what is true, which is the experience. Like there is no meaningful truth in a sense.
No,
dude, why do y'all do this? Like, true internally, like the experience existing, isn't the same as saying true externally. It maps on to reality.
Yeah,
that's
the point. So Red was
Yeah,
saying
but why sneak
like,
in words like that then? It just kind of blows up the
because Red
conversation.
was I suppose, but I think Red was saying that like, if there is no if you're just talking about experience itself, then the experience is just tautologically
Yeah, it's
necessarily
true that I'm having this
in and of
experience.
itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
But,
so
like,
if I'm having an
it doesn't
experience, then
help
it's
you
obviously
very
true
much.
that I'm having the
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
Okay,
And in
can
the
I
case
ask
of
you
the
something?
experience, and even in solipsism, so you guys are on about equations. I came in a little bit through, so I assume you're talking about like physics equations or whatever. So those would still be like true in solipsism in that they describe the experience. So you could still say meaningfully that they are truthful.
No, because the point of
they're
the equations
predictive.
are meant to describe external reality. They're like these things
Yeah.
describe space-time bending. So if it doesn't describe that, they would not be true. Because the whole point of true there, as the other guy mentioned, is that it corresponds to an external reality, not just it describes patterns in your experience. The whole scientific realism is the point.
But wouldn't it correspond to like a reality that we're not very sure of, right? So like it's like the best thing we have. It's not 100%, right?
Well,
sure.
I think it's reasonable to say.
Yeah, so
I think it would be reasonable to say that, sure, while people might think that scientific laws are describing a real, actual external world, the only thing we can know is that they are accurate to experience. So you can only really say that they are predictive within experience itself.
That's
Right?
all that he cares about.
Which is
experience is
kind
all
of
you
like the
have.
only thing that matters, right? So
Yeah.
in the
So
case
the-
of science, all I care about is that I can write an equation.
No.
It gives
So-
me an
so-
answer, and if I do whatever I
So
say,
just to
then
clarify,
it gives the
that's wrong. So
Yeah, it's like
science, the
causality is
consensus
true.
in science is scientific realism. So they think that it really does describe an external reality. They aren't just instrumentalists. Instrumentalism is not the majority. Instrumentalism is the position you're describing, where the equations just describe the experience we're having. So the consensus in science
No.
is realism, that it's literally a thing there.
Yeah, but no, but I think the point is that it doesn't really matter which of those is true.
Sure.
In terms of usability,
Yeah,
obviously,
obviously.
it doesn't matter.
TJump, do you believe that all worldviews begin with a presupposition?
No.
Oh yeah. Okay. How so?
Begin with what supposition?
You don't
Presupposition.
think all worldviews? You don't think all worldviews begin with an assumption due to our
No.
subjective
I think-
context?
No.
I think yeah.
Wait.
They definitely do.
How did they definitely do?
No,
What do
they
you
don't.
mean?
So mine
Well,
believe.
what do you mean
mine-
by
wait,
assumption?
Mine begins with my experience. What assumption is there in
I
my
know
experience?
that's an. Yeah. So if I'm like, okay. So okay, if I,
But wait, you said your formation of worldview begins with your experience.
Yes,
Is
cogito
that
ergo
what you
sum.
just said there?
Yes, cogito
Yeah.
ergo sum.
Wait, but wouldn't your experience also like be considered like couldn't it be considered like an assumption you make
No.
you make on the world or something?
No.
I think
Experience
realistically-
is an object. It's like a rock. It exists. It's a thing that exists. There's no assumption.
it's just something you have. But I think that what you can say is as soon as someone starts to formulate rational arguments, then yes, they necessarily assume certain things.
Sure, but that's
That'd
after
be
the
fair.
experience. That's true. That's after the experience.
Yeah. But I think when he says like a worldview, this is then a rational position. So you kind of at that point
Yeah,
you
this
are
is how
making
I.
some
No, so he said
assumptions.
This is how I
worldview
like to say
begins.
it.
He
Here,
said
here.
every
No,
worldview begins with an assumption. Mine does
okay,
not.
yeah. I guess the
Oh
word.
no, it begins.
Sorry.
Yeah, it
I guess
begins
the word
with
assumption is
experience, and
tricky.
then you rationalize it, which the
Yeah.
rationalization requires assumptions.
Sure.
I'm just trying to understand the leap between like having experience and then the equations not describing some order in the universe.
Well, I mean, if
I don't understand how you
What
don't.
do you mean by universe?
well,
in
so
that
so like
case?
if my experience is true, we could be in a solipsistic universe where the equations don't describe anything. We could be in an
Even in a
idealistic universe.
Okay, so I'm confused about that. Even in a solipsist universe, it would still be deterministic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're instrumentalists
No,
in that case.
not. I mean, I don't think you can like it's our universe isn't deterministic. It's indeterministic. Randomness is a fundamental force,
But
but
there's either equations or there's not.
what they're not. The equations don't determine anything. The equations describe.
But then there's no
Yes.
order.
Wait,
So
no.
randomness
so,
is a
okay,
force.
maybe-
Randomness is literally a
Nobody
force.
cares,
Okay, maybe I can
nigga.
ask this. Maybe I can ask you this.
Mute that person.
I can't see anyone. I can't see.
Oh my
anyone.
god, bro.
All right, can I just? All right, I gotta go, but maybe I can ask you.
Yeah, but you're winging it. It's kind of annoying.
Wait, go ahead,
Wait, who was that person, real quick?
Bro, I have no idea.
Well,
I
we couldn't see. I think.
Bro, it's
they
one.
were-
I think it's one of those muted people.
Yep.
Alright, I can detain you.
BVC, you said you had a question before you had to go?
No, that was red.
Red, question before you go?
No,
Oh
not
yeah.
me. Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, I just don't understand. Oh shit, I don't know, man.
Okay,
I'm
your
trying to
question
understand
is.
what you're saying. I just
Your
don't
question is. Your question is this.
The person's back now.
It's Franks, isn't it?
Oh my god, bro.
You should ask him. Does he think other people start with they have an experience?
Okay,
and then
now.
and then go from there.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You're retarded. So like TJump, if there's like an empty worldview, look, and you know how code. Where this is how I explain it. And there's, you know how there's like code. You know how code works, software. It runs line by line, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and you know how if you run like a shut up, so if you run like if you run line by line, you run like an action on an object and it doesn't exist, it crashes, right? So from your subjective experience, right, you have to assume self exists, right?
No.
Just like what you said.
No. It does. It's not an
Okay.
assumption, but
Okay, tricky word assumption, right? Yeah, it's
Sure,
a tricky
sure,
word,
sure.
but
So I
it has to
exist.
be there.
Yes.
It has to be there,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Okay, right. So the second you say it's there, though, and you're experiencing things, how does it? I just don't understand. How do you choose between there being equations and there not being equations?
Well, equations
How
are
do
a
you make that leap?
specific representation of like derivatives. So in physics, an equation is a
Right.
derivative of a relation between two objects. Equations, there can be other ontologies that have no equations. That's perfectly fine. You don't need equations to describe derivatives for things to exist. Like if you just had a particle, a single particle with nothing else, that universe would still exist, but no equations could describe it because nothing in physics can describe what matter is made of. It's not possible. It can't do it. All they can do is describe interactions
yeah?
between two different things. So an object existing would not be able to be described with an equation. Equations can't describe ontology or essence of what it's made of. It only describes relations between how things interact.
But then you can't talk to me because you don't have a consistent system.
No.
Because you don't have.
That's different.
Actually, some scientists.
Could
not
you?
to
Okay.
be- I'm
so
not.
do
I'm
you
not going to
think-
be. I'm not to be pedantic, but some scientists would
Okay,
disagree
let's
about
just say that.
explaining matter. But
TJump, do you think theoretically there could be a universe where there are all equations could describe all actions in the universe?
What?
Like, theoretically, do you think there could be a universe where there is like you could know all the equations of some
Sure.
universe and trace the equations? Oh,
Yes.
so you think that's possible?
Sure.
You think that's possible?
Sure. Like we can.
Wow.
There are many logically possible worlds that we can do that with. Yes.
Wait, I would argue that might be the only logical one.
What? No, like logically possible means there's no logical contradiction. So our universe is indeterministic. There are literally random things that happen with no predetermined forces.
I'm surprised you said this.
It's the consensus in physics. So in physics, the consensus is that randomness is a thing.
consensus is randomness is a thing.
Yes, the randomness is itself
It's
a
talking like
force.
quantum
The
level
cons-
shit, obviously.
Well, you're talking about the Copenhagen, the Copenhagen interpretation of.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
No. Copenhagen is
Yes.
one interpretation, but it's
Yeah,
like
it is.
all of the
There's also
interpretations.
pilot wave theory, and there's also there's a lot of theories. But Copenhagen interpretation is the one that relies like baseline fundamentals on randomness.
No, well, it's one of them. All of
And it's
them
the most
pretty much
common one
agree.
taken to be true.
Like,
but it's definitely not
this
proven
has
to be true.
nothing to do with Copenhagen interpretation. This has nothing to do with the Copenhagen interpretation. This is most of the interpretations. They all agree randomness is a thing. Copenhagen interpretation is like 40%. Like 40% of physicists agree the Copenhagen interpretation is correct. About 70% of physicists agree randomness is a fundamental force. It's not about the Copenhagen interpretation.
The thing with quantum is that like randomness is used in most interpretations. All interpretations lead to the same outcomes though. So there are plenty of formulations
not
that
really
don't have
randomness.
randomness as an inherent force. Bohmian wave theory doesn't have randomness at all.
Funny
as
enough,
only
as
like
an inherent
single
force.
digit.
Funny enough,
like,
the second you
so
admit
like,
that there's randomness, the second you establish a deterministic universe.
what?
Well,
That doesn't make any sense.
thing is that like look,
Yes,
like
it does, because you're establishing a
Write it
random
down.
number generator.
Write it down in syllogistic form to make sure that it makes sense.
yeah, please do. But like no, so randomness is usually accepted because Copenhagen is often taken.
No, that's wrong. I literally just proved that. 70% of physicists think randomness is a fundamental concept in nature. Only 40% think if Copenhagen interpretation is correct. It is the vast majority think randomness is a thing, has nothing to do with Copenhagen.
Yeah, okay. So Copenhagen and other associated theory, like
No,
interpretations.
other completely separate theories.
No, it's not separate theories. It's just separate interpretations of the same theory.
Yeah, they're not related to the Copenhagen. They're separate interpretations, if you want to call them that. They're not the same thing.
So the problem is that interpretations are belief statements. They're very much not scientific things.
That's literally irrelevant.
None
So
of
the
the
point here
interpretations, for
is,
example, none of the interpretations are testable. So
Actually,
scientists take the
no,
position that
no,
randomness
that's
is like
wrong.
real,
No,
but they
that's
don't
wrong.
actually have good reason to.
No, they
to
have very
say
good
that that's the
reason.
case.
They have very good
really
reason. They don't. They do. It's called the delayed quantum choice eraser or something along those.
There's
They
nothing
literally
random
do.
about.
Yes, it is. That is the consensus. It is not random.
There's nothing random about the
Yes,
delayed
it
quantum
is.
choice eraser.
That's
it has
the whole
specific.
point.
Okay, okay, we're using the word random here like to mean so many potential things. Like, what if randomness is just our ignorance of something to do with quantum?
Exactly.
No,
That's
that's
what
what's
half
rejected.
interpretations
Wait,
are.
stop. That's the hidden variable interpretation, which is accepted by like 0%. Like all physicists think that's
not
wrong.
a hidden variable.
Yeah, that one's been debunked.
You're just
There's evidence
establishing
against
interpretation as a dead end, and you're like, yeah, it's randomness. This is it.
That's
It's
the consensus in physics.
probabilistic
Yes.
that we can't calculate the probability
Yeah, I know
for,
it's a
and we're calling it
consensus.
random.
Yeah.
So-
Consensus
so-
doesn't mean shit all the time, okay?
Consensus is one of the most reliable sources of evidence we have.
I
It's one of the
understand,
most
but the
reasonable
consensus
things
used
to
to
believe.
be. Yeah, do I really have to say it?
What?
Consensus in terms of quantum physics interpretations is meaningless.
what would be
I mean,
better
to give my 2 cents
better
on
than
it,
consensus is
the
my-
interpretations other than hidden variables, which has been, I believe, debunked. I can't remember the
Yes.
exact like experiments, but right.
Delayed
other
quantum
than that
choice.
one,
It was
pretty
that one.
much all
Unless
of the
you
ones that are
unlock the
left.
ontological
Pretty
truth
much.
on
Hang
something.
on. Pretty much all of the ones that are left, including Bohmian wave theory, do not make different. Would not have different outcomes in any quantum experiment, as far as we know. So you can't. We really can't claim which interpretation of quantum physics is correct. In fact, that
Right.
might be an interpretation we don't know of.
That's literally irrelevant.
And
so
like,
the problem
look,
of
when you say that like a
what
lot
you're
of
saying is
scientists
gibberish. What you're
take
saying
it
is
to be true,
gibberish.
doesn't really
Doesn't
matter. 'Cause
matter.
it's
What you're
just
saying is
belief.
gibberish. I'm going to mute you.
Not
Stop. I don't
gibberish.
care. Problem of underdetermination. There's always infinitely many theories that can all explain the data. There's always infinitely many interpretations that can all explain the data. Completely irrelevant. The only one that's made progress are the ones that say there is no hidden variable. It's all randomness. That is the fundamental best theory in physics. The one that has all the evidence, and believing any other is unsupported by any other data. So the fact that you can make a theory to explain that is irrelevant. The ones that make progress are the ones
You
that do
can't have
randomness.
evidence of randomness.
Yes, you can.
So
What is evidence of randomness?
So hang on, what's the
So
evidence?
is
what's
God
the, wait,
generating the
wait,
numbers?
Wait, what's the actual evidence that a random quantum theory is more accurate than
Go
Bohmian
bother the
mechanics?
physicists.
Yeah, I am one. There isn't any.
Yes, there is. What are
But
you
when
talking about? The
physicists
fact that
use
they
the
have
word
made
random,
successful
they're
predictions that there
talking
is
about
no.
something that's probabilistic that we cannot calculate the probability for. They
See,
don't actually mean random.
No, so Bohmian mechanics literally just has a second wave function, which is actually physical.
Yes, I
which
know there are
describes
multiple
the actual
interpretations that
wave
literally
function.
doesn't matter.
Yet the problem is that it doesn't make unique predictions, and neither
It
do any of the
literally
other
doesn't
quantum
matter. Problem of
mechanics
underdetermination.
interpretations.
You
Of
don't
course it
ever
does.
need to do that. Ever.
Okay, so they do, because otherwise we can't determine a theory which is better.
Wrong. No theory ever makes unique predictions. There are
Yes,
always
they
infinite.
do.
No, they don't. It's literally a thing in science called the problem of underdetermination. Google it. There are always going to be infinitely many theories that can all explain all of the data necessarily.
How do you know that?
Google problem of underdetermination. So just to give an example, all of the evidence in the universe can be explained by a magical unicorn who farted us out of existence 5 seconds ago, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. There are infinitely many possible hypotheses that can explain literally all of the data necessarily, always.
Cringe.
Yeah, but there's only one that matters, I guess, your experience. And I don't see how that experience matters
It's not
either
theory.
if
Your experience isn't a
there
theory.
aren't. Wait, I'm just trying to think about how that experience matters if there aren't equations.
What?
What do you mean? I don't. Why would you think that you need equations? It's just that, I don't understand the
Because
real contention. The equation, the physics equations in an actual solipsistic universe would just be, as you said, what's the word? Instrumentalist equations, effectively.
right? Yeah.
Well, you can go a
That's
step
all they'd
further and
be.
say they just don't describe anything. You just imagined that they described something. Like if the whole world was created 5 seconds ago, and you had the memories that these equations describe your experience, but if you actually tried to measure them, you'd find out they don't. So even all of the physics equations could be wrong if our experience is
I
just.
know, but the point y'all are missing is that the second I say my experience exists, like if I don't take those equations to be true, even though they might not be, then I can decide what those, like when the equations say whatever they want, whenever I want. I can say whatever I want. Doesn't matter.
Of course,
There's
you
no
can.
order to the universe.
No, those are separate things. Like I think you're conflating
It's not a separate
equations.
thing.
I think you're conflating
I don't think
equations
so.
with patterns and orders. Like
Yep.
it must have order,
Mm-mm.
which I mean that's also false. Like I could say that there is a completely random universe with no patterns.
Equations just describe the order.
Right. So let's say there is no
So to
order.
say there
It's
aren't
100%
equations, there's no order.
randomness. Yeah, so let's say it's 100% random. There are no order, just randomness, pure randomness.
Yeah.
And purely
Yeah.
randomly, my existence popped into existence and I experienced. And then the next second, it popped out of existence. That's also possible. So in a universe with no order, I could still exist for a moment and then disperse into nothingness. Or I could exist for a year and disperse into
That's
nothingness.
true, but then you can't talk to me because you're already assuming one moment shifts to the next.
No, I'm not assuming
when you
anything. I'm
talk to
just
me.
describing the possibility that a random universe
Well, you're
could
kind
still
of forced
exist.
to, but you are like because when you said,
Oh my god,
like, I know you're saying, "Oh my god," but it's I don't know. To me, it sounds like your worldview. You can choose conveniently when those equations describe something with.
No. Like I think
mean-
physics is correct. Your assumption that you need to accept the equations is what's wrong. Like I grant the equations. I think physics is right. I think that is true. But what you
Wait, see, you
said
did it right
is
there.
wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is
so,
not
I mean,
necessary to have the equations. That part is false.
No.
I agree they're equations. I agree they work.
Okay.
Yeah, so one
But
of
you
the
just
things
said it
that
right there.
science. Wait, so Red, one of the
Okay.
things that we don't exactly know is why on earth math works to describe the universe at all. Like, that's
Okay.
one of the. So for example, why would we ever expect that we could develop a tool to describe the universe anyway? Right? It doesn't seem like that's necessary. There could be a universe which is ordered that we just don't have the language to describe. That's doesn't seem impossible. There's no contradiction in that. So in that universe, sure, you've got order. It's just indescribable. with math, and that doesn't seem to be an issue.
Wouldn't be able to work.
But you
though,
wouldn't get to that universe because the only universe you search it, you would start with your own subjective experience. So you would never get to that world, that universe.
I
Sorry,
don't get what you mean.
If there is order,
But-
you have to be able to label things in it, which is what we call math, basically, right? Like it's not like math is the actual thing. Math is just a label used for a certain happening.
I disagree that something being ordered means that we necessarily are able to describe the order. I just don't think that's true.
I mean, not that we have to be able to, but it has to have a
looking at his
description.
stream,
You
he's
know,
not-
we
he's
might
not
not know it
there.
necessarily, but it has to exist.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying that, like, look, I'm not saying that the equations we do have right now describe the universe, right, with 100% accuracy. I'm just saying that people operate in a way in which they assume that there's technically a way to find an ultimate equation, even if they know there's not a possible way to find one, and that's what builds the worldview.
Well, I mean,
so you can't choose to operate in a way where those equations aren't true and then operate in a way where they aren't whenever you want. You already established that they're true at the very first sentence in your worldview.
yeah,
I don't
you take
understand.
them to be true.
Yeah, so how do you jump out of the equations? I don't understand. That's what I don't understand. Like, you already took the equations to be true when you started the worldview of experience.
Well, I don't know if you take the actual scientific equations when you say that.
But you're already operating in a fashion in which, you're assuming there is an equation that can describe the universe. That's what I'm trying to say. So there's no difference.
No, right. So what do you mean by equation? Because as I just said, right?
Okay.
If there's an ordered universe that has experience in, I don't see the logical line which gets you to there exists an equation I could write down which describes this order. I don't see that link. I think that it is the case in this universe, but it doesn't seem to logically necessarily be the case that in an
But
ordered universe that's true.
Yeah, but I don't have to, because all I'm saying is that experience is. That's it.
No,
and
but
then I go from
no,
there.
but your appeal to an equation would have to be true in every universe for it to be necessary, right? So, another person doesn't have to assume that these equations exist at all, because unless it's necessary in every universe in which they could exist, then they don't have to
think
take
about
it.
what you said. Necessary in every universe. There's only one universe, right?
Well, we don't actually know that, though.
Yeah.
Well,
But
no, then
no,
it's
if we're
not.
making,
Then it's
hang
not what
on,
you're describing. The word universe
but
describes
if
every. Okay.
we're talking about philosophy, which is really what's being discussed in people's worldviews, then for someone to have to take it, then you have to show that it's logically always necessary. And if it's not logically always necessary, then the person doesn't have to take it. They'll just not.
But I'm not even building on. Okay. I'm not even starting with that. That's later on in the worldview. That's. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand TJump's jump from experience experience is that statement
Hmm.
to somehow equations, not any kind of equation that describes any kind of order in the universe, not necessarily being recursively traceable. I don't understand how that's not possible. Because you already assumed the equation is accurate. Otherwise, there's nothing else. It's that's all there is. All right, never mind.
I
That's
don't
not,
know. I don't
As soon
really
as
know.
as soon as you cross the line from subjective experience to objective experience, you can describe that some way.
Well, you
And
can't.
you can do that with
You
equations.
don't cross that line. Nobody crosses
No,
that
you
line.
don't.
Everybody crosses the.
Yeah, no
Everybody
one crosses
starts
the
from
line.
the subjective line,
Like,
and then they
Right.
go from there. Yeah.
But no, again,
If everyone was stuck in that subjective worldview,
I don't think
then we couldn't know anything.
But I would argue you can find an objective world from your subjective world start.
Yeah, you
Right.
can't get to it.
I think you kind of can, even though.
Oh.
But maybe I mean, obviously, there's something I'm not understanding where you guys are jumping, right?
Well, then
know.
you have to make a big
Definitely can't get from.
presupposition, or else you
You
dissolve
definitely
the
cannot
solipsism.
get from. You definitely cannot get from subjective to objective.
Okay, if I have a blank slate worldview, there's no sentences in my worldview, and I go experience is. Okay, can I walk out of the door, like out of my house?
I
Or
don't know if
anything?
you require a worldview to do that.
But then, yeah. But okay,
Like
so if I was
animals
to
could
build,
do that. I don't think they
okay,
have a worldview.
exactly. You wouldn't have to have that, right? So if we're thinking about this, you could build a worldview off of any assumption, right? Any assumption you want, right? Let's just give that to be true, right? You agree with that?
I mean, I suppose you could. I don't think
Okay.
that's how it works, but you probably
Well,
could.
you could, right? I'm just saying you could. But and then you could say if this, then this, if this and this, you can go to infinity. With any worldview, you could just make a starting place anyway, right? But isn't there one assumption, or sorry, one statement that's a different starting place that's different from all others, and that's what TJump said, experience, right? And that you need it to do anything with a self, to take any kind of action on a self. Like that's what makes that starting
So-
place different from all other starting places, right?
I think all starting places must necessarily start with experience. So
Right. So I would agree with TJump there, right? So the second I make that starting place, though, the only reason that starting place is different from any others is so I can talk to you right now and walk out the door or do anything. So I'm necessarily saying the equations are accurate when I made that assumption right off the bat. So where along that worldview do we jump off that route and say sometimes those equations aren't accurate?
I don't understand which equations specifically.
Any equations a human can describe that show natural order in the universe.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't.
I got a question real quick. So like, if I say, let's say the equation 1, like I exist and there is one of me, I can use numbers to describe the things in the universe. Is that all you mean by equations? Like if I exist, then you can have numbers describe the things that exist?
Yeah. Like you can take actions on a self. Like I can talk to you right now. Like
So yeah,
so
if
you
all
have to
you
have.
mean is that our language of numbers can be used to describe existing things, that's fine. But the numbers don't need to exist. The equations don't need to exist anywhere in the universe. We're making those up to describe the things that exist. There's no presuppositions, no assumptions. That we're just making up a language of numbers to describe things.
Yeah. I also don't think it's necessary. As I said before, it's not necessary that in a universe that is ordered, that we ever had a language which describes the order. I don't
I think if
understand
you
why
make it
that's
like,
necessary.
I think if you make it as simple as like one thing exists, and that's your math. I don't think it's hard to posit a universe that wouldn't be able to be described with basic numbers 1, 2, 3, etc. And I think that's what he means here. It's just you can use numbers to describe things, and that's an equation.
But again, I think it depends, right?
Well, could you have a universe where there was an object that couldn't be described with the number 1?
Potentially. I mean, I don't necessarily know if a universe could be ordered but not follow the conventional laws of logic we use. That might be a potentiality that we just can't even think about. In which case, sure, definitely. Definitely. Well limited in this regard. So maybe. I mean, in a universe where you have what we usually have, in like deep space of nothingness, where things come in and out of existence constantly at a subatomic scale, that seems pretty fucking random and hard to describe in any other way, right? So like, I don't know.
Oi, salam alaikum.
سلام
هلا حبيبي.
Salami bologna.
Baloney.
All right, good talk.
Dude, I'm gonna do something quick.
I'm an omnia, so I say Allahu Jesus.
Makes sense.
Yo, anyone
Anyone?
Okay, he left. Anyone here? This is sort of a tech issue. I don't know if you guys want to talk about some other topic, but anyone here know how to connect an Xbox One controller to your PC? Mine isn't connecting. And you want to hear like some tech? I'll never bring you back.
Are you doing it by cable or by Bluetooth?
I'm trying to do it through Bluetooth, like via Bluetooth.
Did you download the
I always
drivers?
use the PS2. I always use the PS2.
Yeah,
to
I
USB.
update. Wait.
You have to You have to download the drivers from the Xbox site to allow it to pick up your Xbox controller on your computer. If you don't have the drivers from the Xbox site, you won't be able to pick up your computer. Windows does not start with the drivers to pick up an Xbox controller.
Okay. Could you link me like the specific drivers that I need, or
You need to go to the Xbox website and type in Windows drivers for Xbox controller. I don't have an Xbox.
Okay.
You could also get a Cronus Zen, and then you can plug in any controller into any console.
Yeah, that's true as well. I forgot to pick one of those up. That sounds.
In 4 months, I'll be able to smoke weed in all of Canada.
Nice.
Just trying
So
set
I'm
up an
looking. I
Xbox
can't really
controller.
find. Okay, so basically, it's just like telling me to uninstall, and this is from the fucking Microsoft website. I have to uninstall the USB driver and device manager, and then right after that, install the generic driver.
What Xbox controller have you got? Because if it was an
Xbox One.
original Xbox One controller, it doesn't have wireless.
Can you guys
No,
shut the fuck
it's
up?
not an original Xbox One controller.
Okay.
Nobody cares about your Xbox.
By the way, the Bluetooth.
Is that
works.
Mango?
The Bluetooth works. The only problem, because I tried it on like my laptop.
Why are we talking about Xbox?
What?
So it works on your laptop but not your
Yeah, my desktop. I don't know what it is. Yeah, so it probably is something to do with the drivers.
All right, Mango, give me your best argument for God. Let's go.
There's equations everywhere.
Equations for God? I love to see that.
How would you describe God?
As an
As an
imaginary thing.
intelligent being that created the universe.
Is that your explanation or is that your ego's
That's
explanation?
the most all-encompassing definition that people use.
Is that your ego's explanation or your explanation?
God is a potato. Prove me wrong.
God has no explanation.
Because he doesn't exist.
No, not because he doesn't exist. It's because he cannot be explained by mere mortals like
But
yourself.
you didn't give an explanation. You didn't ask for an explanation. You asked for a definition. Is that definition not good enough or what?
There is
What's
no
wrong with it?
definition. You cannot explain God. You cannot define God at all.
Mhm.
The minute you define God, the minute you define God,
So-
you instill parameters, and when you instill parameters, you're basically saying that God is limited.
Wait, so I have a
does
question.
God
I
exist?
I got a good question.
Wait, Abel,
Somehow you're able to just to not describe what's outside the system, yet you're able to identify what's outside the system.
Yeah, like how does that work?
wait,
You can
Abel.
only describe things in existence. God is beyond existence.
Okay, so
Wait,
if God is
Abel,
if God is
if he's
beyond existence, one sec. If God is beyond existence, does that mean he doesn't exist?
Yes, he doesn't exist, but he also exists.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense. If it does exist.
Abel, do you believe the very act?
Exactly. He can't be defined.
Wait,
That's
give
why
me
it
a
doesn't make
second,
sense.
dude.
'Cause it can't be
Wait.
defined.
I know you're an Anglo and you want to talk
Hey,
about
you shut the fuck up, you fucking Xbox motherfucker.
Listen, yeah, I can fix my Xbox and still BTFO you at the same
Nobody
time.
cares about your Xbox.
Do you believe, right, that the very act of verbalizing, right, God, right, doesn't that necessarily reduce his omniscience or him being an
Exactly. That's what I'm
omnipotent?
saying this entire time.
That goes against your argument, right? That he's outside of existence because we're using language as a means to identify God, right?
That means he has to be, right?
I'm not identifying God at all.
Well, you
so why
using the word God that necessarily needs a definition for the word God.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is that?
No, that doesn't mean no. It's just a label.
A label for what?
Fucking love potatoes. Who knows? It could be anything, to be honest.
Wait.
So God is a potato pie, right?
It could be a
If it can be
Do you
anything.
understand the reason why we use language, Abelink?
I don't think he does.
It can't be a potato pie because a potato pie is part of existence.
Mm-hmm.
And he can only be
Yeah,
things
but-
that doesn't exist.
It can only be things that exist but also don't exist.
And what are
I
those?
would
Well, what are
worship
things that
potatoes.
exist or don't exist?
Yeah. You seem to have
Exactly.
a
You
category
can't. You
for
can't
it.
describe it, right? You can't describe it, right? Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like you can't describe God. It's impossible.
But you are. You're saying that is God.
What is?
So something that exists and doesn't exist, would that be God? Like
that
No,
limits
that's just something
God.
that's undescribable. That's just something that's undescribable.
Yeah, exactly. Something that doesn't exist because it can exist and not exist at the same
No,
time.
it exists, but also doesn't exist.
So that's
No,
that's called non-standard logic. There's a specific logic that describes that.
Exactly. It's beyond logic. It's beyond all
Right.
this
So,
stupid
so
man-made
there's a
thinking.
non-standard logic which describes that, which means if God exists and doesn't exist, then he can be described by non-standard logic, and therefore he's not God.
Yeah, aren't you making assertions describing
No,
something
because
undescribable?
God can look. God will let you be homeless. God will let you jump off a bridge. God will let you, kill people in the subway like he did in New York. He will
Well,
do
doesn't that mean he's
anything. He'll let you
logical?
do
If
whatever
he
you
lets me
want.
do those things, then he must exist.
No, because he does exist and he doesn't.
So
Are
then
you
you
like
can't
a
let me do those
pantheist?
things.
This
You
just sounds
can't
like
describe God. If you describe God,
He's just
you're
fucking
limiting.
high, bro. That's the only
Oh
thing.
no,
he is.
this is Mango. If you
Hey,
guys
you
haven't
shut
heard,
up.
this is Mango. Mango has the craziest beliefs.
Yes,
Yeah,
I believe that black
Mango's
people
a
should be enslaved.
yeah, Mango's a clown, so I wouldn't pay attention to him too much. So
I think black people should be enslaved. Who agrees? Put your hands
Uh-huh.
up.
And would you be part of those people or what? Because I'd love that.
Yes.
Yes, he would. He has
Nice.
admitted to that. He was pro his own slavery.
Of course, if I'm black and
Wait, is it
lazy,
like a
of course.
sex thing or is it just like?
No, if I'm black and lazy, yeah, for sure. Sign me up.
Well, man.
Mike QQ, are there other atheists in the community or online that you know that want to start some type of atheist church you've been talking to? Yeah, I've talked with a bunch of people who are down for it. Like me, Steve from Murdershed Steve said he'd be down to help. There's a lot of people who posted on Facebook saying they wanted to help with it. So there are a number who are interested. And I've gotten a decent amount of support for it financially. So I'm working on it.
Wait, TJump, you're starting an atheist church?
Yep.
Atheist church? That's
Yep.
so cringe.
Dude, what doesn't that like the hang on, I'm an atheist, but doesn't that also kind of defeat the purpose of atheism?
No.
No, it just goes to show that atheists are
No.
up against Christianity
So,
and
so
say that.
what would you worship in this church exactly?
I would put my objective
Science.
morality. I'd put my objective morality as the doctrine.
You have objective morality?
Yeah, you can check out on my
Let's
YouTube channel.
go.
But
Nice.
T-Jump, I highly
Oh.
recommend you read Augustus Comte's idea for a church, and I think the Church
Go
of
read
Life
Nietzsche.
is
Stop
actually
reading
is
these
actually
modern day
linked to this.
philosophers.
I
They're
think
all
the Church
wrong.
of Life is linked to this.
like what is his idea actually proposed? Does it do anything financially? Like what is it? What is
So
the
it was
business model?
in the School of Life on YouTube. It actually lays out like his whole setup for this secular church. It's also there's still one.
What do you mean? What do you
under
mean
his
by
idea.
setup? Is it just saying things to do or business
So
model?
it's almost like a Unitarian church where you celebrate life, but also in place of the saints that would normally be like in the statues and the stained glass, it's statues of wealthy bankers, really rich, successful
Yeah,
people.
I'm not. That
Yeah,
sounds completely
where
different
I
from what I
come
would
from,
want.
we worship capitalism.
Yeah, that sounds completely different from what I would want. So I would not agree with that version of the church. I want
Wait, so
mine.
USB. Click the arrow that points to USB controller.
Mango's back. What do you got? What do you
Wait,
got
hang
for
on,
us?
hang on. I have a question. So, like, can we sacrifice things to objective morality?
As long as it doesn't violate consent, yes.
There's gonna be so many denominations in this church.
That's fine.
Hey Frank, can I enslave you?
Yeah, Mango's a clown. Like I said before, don't pay attention to him. Anyway.
Interesting.
Racism is against TOS, Abe Link.
Hey, TJump, can I
How's
have
that
any arguments
racism? That's
against
just
transcendental
enslavement
idealism?
question.
What?
Can I have an argument against transcendental ideals? Transcendental idealism.
Look, atheists are just big. They're just people with huge egos.
Do I have an argument against transcendental idealism?
Yes, because I kind of need one.
What
Not
is
gonna lie.
what is the argument
kinda
for it?
need
What do you
one.
mean? Like which part?
More like the mind has to perceive something, so therefore there's a all-knowing mind that perceives us. That part. Because then I just point out infinite regress, and they just say no to it.
Well, it seems like a composition division fallacy. Like I need a telescope to see other galaxies. That doesn't mean other galaxies are made of a telescope.
Why the?
No, that's
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
a
argument.
fallacy,
Is
bro.
like,
You shut up. You're dumb.
well, no, it's like.
Where's
So,
that
like,
at?
think about it. What if a being, but like the being
Bro,
is
you're
perceiving us?
autistic. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Hey.
What transcendental idealism? What's the problem? So like I think it's a composition division fallacy to say that because you epistemically
Why is
need
everyone
something.
listening to TJump? He's autistic.
Stop it. So because you need a certain kind of a thing to experience another kind of a thing doesn't mean the other kind of a thing is made of the stuff that you use to experience it. Like I need a telescope to see other galaxies. Other galaxies are not made of a telescope.
You do realize that God created you because he wanted to find out where he came from.
What?
That
God-
does not
God-
make
that's kinda-
any logical sense, man.
God
Yeah,
created me
that-
so that I could find out where God came from.
Yeah, because he's a bit confused. He's like, wait, okay, if I create some beings, and then I want to see how would they think about God and where they come from. And so he's just looking at us and observing us. We're his experiment.
You worship a confused ass god?
Oh, he
Yeah.
worships a God that exists and doesn't exist at the same time. So
Oh yeah, obviously.
He's
Why are you
obviously using us.
describing an
We're the
undescribable
petri.
god?
I mean, the Earth is the petri dish, and he's just using us as organisms to, see where we,
Watch him.
land on terms of what God is.
No, that's definitely a sex thing.
Mango, I suffered from cognitive dissonance such as you until I discovered omnism. If you're interested, message me about my Church of Omnism, which I'm creating.
No,
What
I
is
don't want
I don't know
omnism?
what that
to be
means,
Hold
part of
up.
but
your
it
I
sounds
need
great.
that. I need to see this.
It's the
I
belief
want to
in
be
all
part of your.
gods, and
In all
and you pick and
gods? Well, that
choose
doesn't
which.
make any sense, does it?
Yes, it does. Like if there's part of your worldview that's
It is. It's just
incompatible
another
with
If
form of
two
paganism.
gods,
you throw
two
it out.
different gods say they did one specific thing, one of them has to be wrong, right?
Wait a minute.
Yes,
You sound
and
like a
throw that.
Muslim.
You
Are you
throw
a
that
Muslim?
part of that God out. You don't have to.
So-
You don't have to.
Are you a Muslim?
So omnism, his version of
Me?
omnism
Are
is
you
that
a
you can
Muslim?
pick and
Who are you
choose.
talking
Wait,
to?
hold up. So his version of omnism
Hey,
is that you
hey,
can.
wait,
Mango,
wait.
Mango,
Is
I'm
this
gonna mute
guy a
you. Mango,
Muslim?
I'm gonna mute you. So his version of omnism is that you can pick and choose among different religions, and different parts of each religion is true. So all religions are true in some respect.
Yes.
Wait. Is this guy a Muslim?
No,
Partially.
partially.
Wait,
Partially,
so hang
because
on.
they're partially right, right?
Wouldn't like
Wait.
monotheism in that
Are you
base of
a
omni?
Muslim, bro? Are you Muslim? Daddy discharge.
Fuck no. Why'd
Daddy
you think
Discharge
that?
is a really good name.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I
I
was
came
about
up
to
with it in
call
the
you
shower. I'm
terrorist.
very proud of it.
You sound like a Muslim.
Well, I'm not. So
You sound like a dumbass.
Mike
Yeah, you
asked,
actually
was
sound like
Jesus
I don't
moral?
see this man sounds like a Muslim. I don't think he. I
One
don't
sec.
know. I don't think he blows up buildings in his free time. My guy.
That's
This
not
is
how
so
Muslims do
ridiculous.
that.
You're the
Not,
one.
hold
You're
up,
the one who
hold up,
worships
hold up,
multiple
hold up,
gods.
hold
Here
up.
we
So,
go.
Mike asked, do you think Jesus was moral? And I think overall, yes, compared to most people.
So you put. Wait a minute. Jesus,
Compared to
God
most
is not
people, how do you think
immoral.
that's morality,
God did
man?
not kill babies.
What is
He
good and
killed
bad?
evil.
Yes, he does. He kills babies all the time.
And he
No,
really
he
likes
didn't.
There's nothing wrong
He
with
killed.
killing. Like,
All
I don't
he
even
did
think
was
Remember,
Jesus
wipe
killed
out the
babies. There's nothing wrong
virus.
with killing babies.
remember the Midianites, my guy?
Killing babies is based.
Yeah, he's like really into foreskins.
Yeah.
And drowning
Based?
millions of babies. He drowned them. He likes to drown them. And
So
he sent
what?
bears.
Yeah, he does.
He likes to send bears
He
to
only
kill
drowned
babies.
the evil babies. He only drowned the evil ones.
The
Not the
evil.
good.
The evil babies.
Oh yeah. Oh, what about the rape chronicles? Like those are just.
Yeah, bro,
I'm
you're under a
flipping the Bible.
foreskin god. Like, just accept it.
No. He only killed the evil ones. That's it.
The evil
Yeah, because
babies.
he wouldn't kill the good babies.
Not the good babies.
Of course.
What about the Pharaoh's child?
What about it?
He
Well,
got
because he didn't like his dad, so obviously he had to, you know.
Of course.
Precisely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, if he doesn't like when I'm farming potatoes, he can always kill my child. When you think about it, the Abrahamic God isn't really all powerful or omnipotent. Like, it says nothing about that in the Bible.
Ooh, it doesn't. I
So
guess
I think he
just
left.
assume it.
I think Mingo left.
Yeah, I was talking to that clown for about an hour the other day, trying to get an argument for God from him, and he couldn't give me anything.
My
So-
condolences on your brain cells.
I know. He says I should be a slave or some bullshit like that, which is funny.
Have you ever talked to Islamic Space Telescope?
Islamic Space Telescope?
Yeah.
That's a good name. It sounds great.
He every time I talk about any atheist talking points, he just straight up comes up to me and tells me how much I like children and how my atheist point of view is just there to
That's actually kind of funny.
At least he didn't fuck a 9-year-old.
I was like, God damn. Like, damn. I'm being called a pedo already.
Any other arguments?
Yeah, I got an argument. Do you know how to fix this Xbox One controller, dude?
Don't know because I don't know what's wrong with it.
So, like, it's with my PC, dude. I think it's with my PC.
All right,
You
one
said to
sec,
go
one
and
sec.
try to look for drivers, right?
Now, before that, go to the Bluetooth options.
Hold
Go
up. I gotta switch my HDMI, dude, because like, yeah, hold up.
Have you
All right.
tried it on a different computer yet?
Yeah, I have. So
Is
my
it-
Xbox One controller works. I think it's just with my drivers.
So then delete the driver. Go to, are you using Windows or Mac?
Wait, which driver should I delete though?
The one that has the controller, Xbox controller label on it. So go to
I can't find it, dude.
go to the search, go to devices, like do a search for devices, device manager, click on device manager, go down to controllers or USB things, and you'll see a picture of a controller with it says Xbox controller next to it. Left click, delete.
I swear to you, dude, I can't find it.
Then try plugging it into a different USB port.
Yeah, I'm in device manager.
Try plugging it into a different USB port.
Oh, like actually plug, and you know that's the other.
Yes.
I gotta
plug
go
it
find
in.
the USB now. Hold up.
Hey, TJump.
Hey.
What's the craziest thing in the Quran?
I don't know.
Also, which one has more killed babies or killed?
The Old Testament.
More foreskins.
Old Testament has the most killed babies.
Old Testament or the Quran?
Old
Straight
Testament
up.
Bible. Old Testament Christian
Is
Bible.
that hair,
Torah.
the hair rod?
The Torah. The Torah.
I always hear
God
questions
literally
complaining
drowned the planet and had millions of drowned babies.
That is true.
For real, why did he really do that? Like, just because a lot of people were
The
bad.
angels were
he just
fucking
kills
humans
everyone?
and shit.
I think it was because they were sacrificing babies. I think that was the point. They were sacrificing babies, so he decided to sacrifice all the babies at once.
No, for real. No, for real. Yeah, the Zeraphim.
Yeah, you
were-
can't sacrifice more babies than me,
No,
bitch.
he did it because he did it because the Angels found the change team section.
No, for real. He was like, some of my angels be like sleeping with the humans and making some weird ass baby. I'm not kidding. Hold on, I'll find the verse.
Well, no, because in the Bible it says that he sent Noah to several cities and said, if you can find anyone who is righteous, I won't flood and destroy everyone. But he couldn't find anyone, so he flooded and destroyed everyone. So it was about them all being evil, and so he had to start over. It wasn't specifically the Nephilim was a part of it, but it wasn't like the fundamental reason.
True.
Still kind of
Also,
overkill.
Also, TJump, where do you find yourself on the political spectrum?
Center left.
Centrist.
So I'm like a classical
All
liberal,
right.
like Sam Harris and Bill Maher and Richard Dawkins.
So like a libertarian.
No, that's not left. No, that's like far right.
Libertarian is far right.
So
I thought,
sorry
like,
to cut you off.
Yes, libertarians are far right.
I thought conservatives were like the farthest right.
Like libertarians are like a form of conservatism because they want low government involvement, low laws to limit things.
Libertarians need help. Like they need mental health.
And so the conservative part of having low numbers of laws and little change to those things, that's why libertarians are more into the conservative camp than the liberal camp, because the liberal camp is more help people, make laws, social security, healthcare, welfare. And both libertarians and Republicans want to get rid of that.
Socialism is based.
Well,
Nah, fascism is based.
So mixed
Hitler is
economies
based.
are not socialism. The left is not socialist. That's the super far left. Like most economies are not socialist. They're mixed economies, which are good. Mixed economies good. Socialism bad.
I agree. Mixed economy.
Hey, we all know anarchy. Anarcho-capitalism.
Anarcho-fascism is the way. Anyway, yo, TJump.
Anarcho-fascism? What even is that? That's like a contradiction in and of itself. Just an oxymoron.
No, look, dude. If libertarian, what was it again? Libertarian communism. If that's a thing, if that exists, then I'm not even joking. I've actually met libcons. If that exists, then anarcho-fascism can exist. Okay.
Yeah, those both seem like contradictions to me.
Yeah, like anarcho-fascism. How would that even look like?
Yeah, so like a libertarian society with no rules, which is socialist, where the means of production are owned by the populace. Those are not really compatible.
But if you were fascist just within your immediate manor, like you're the anarcho with the separate manners, but yet you had a fascist control within your specific manor.
TJump.
Well,
So
wouldn't that make every
fascist?
Wouldn't that make every fascist an anarcho-fascist because they want to be fascist for themselves and everybody else to get an anarchy? So, they're the only fascist.
It just works, bro. Stop questioning.
Yeah,
it.
so you're a fascist, but only like extended to yourself, right?
Yeah, to myself. Yeah.
That wouldn't be fascism, man.
You know what? Yeah,
that would just be
Daddy,
like
you
everyone
really
having
gave me
their
a
own
good idea,
opinion.
dude. I'm just gonna go around telling people.
Wait,
yeah,
TJump, is it okay that sometimes I take the most force to an option, like I don't know, life or death situations?
What? It's a justified, like self-defense is a justified immoral action. So it's still immoral to kill somebody ever for any reason, but it's justified because it's the least harm you can do in the situation to preserve your life. Still bad.
Hey, TJump.
Is deserving and moral different?
You are of no harm to God. God is the one that lets you think the way you think. Don't ever forget that.
Wait, I thought the whole thing of us being here was supposed to have free will and think for ourselves and then decide. Like, how does that make sense if God controls our thoughts anyways?
Does Mango even believe in free will?
I don't think so. Based on what he said.
So Mango believes in the New Testament but rejects the Old Testament.
I see. Interesting.
Oh, here I found it. Just for consistency,
more and more,
it's
as Mango talks more and more, he is becoming close to omnism. So I would recommend that you talk to him.
Spells omnism.
Well, I think it's omnism. I don't think there's an E in there. It's normally omnism.
It's hard for me to say, like, yeah, that word.
Omnism is the
But
acceptance
still,
of all
what is it?
religions. That's the point.
Uh,
It's kind of like universalism, where all religions lead to heaven.
kind of dumb though. Because you literally have religions that tell you if you follow another religion, you go to hell. Like,
Yes, so it's selective. It says that they are all trying to lead you to heaven, even though they're contradictory texts. The contradictory texts are not true. They all lead you to heaven.
But see, I would drop the part that says you cannot worship other gods. I would take that part out.
I'd drop most of it and just say science.
yeah, like
that would be the good Bible. The Bible says science, period, end of text. Is TJump a Satanist? No, not a Satanist.
also it should say don't own people as property.
Unless they consent to it.
yeah, unless they like
that part. True.
All right, guys, I'm going to get some food. Thank you for showing up to the live stream and the debate today. People in the YouTube chat and the after show, people in the TJump Discord section of politics. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
All right,
Good luck.
Peace out, Tom.